We are live. welcome everybody to the pre-game, post-game, whatever. We've been talking for so long. Before this point, we decided to.
No, we haven't. We just met each other. We're just now meeting each other.
Welcome everyone. This is the I'm calling it the Smoke Show with the guys from Brimstone Smoke. We have Paul, we have Tony, we have Smokey, we have Anthony. We're working on other guys getting in here. That's an adventure onto itself. Welcome, guys. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Hey, what's up, Brad?
Normally, how I like to start is by asking people how they got involved in paintball. So I will ask that question. We'll start with Anthony and work our way around. Anthony.
My brother, he got a gun from my cousin down in Tennessee, and it was an old VM68 that weighed like 30 fucking pounds. And so I went to Walmart and got I can't remember if it was a Talon or a Stingray. Anyway, but we got that, and then because we got a big farm, and then some of our buddies from high school would come out, and it just snowballed from there. And then we opened up a field, and and everything. Once we opened up our field and stuff, we got playing a lot, and it was pretty cool. But when Push came out, and me and my brother sat down and watched Push, it was like a light bulb went off and was like, dude, this is what we're going to do for a living. We want to be those guys. So That's when we really started grinding hardcore. And then we made Milt the old man started making ultimate airball bunkers, and that took off. So that got us to where we could play all the time, and then then being in the industry and stuff. So it just took off from there, and then we played some local tournaments, and then started doing regionals and stuff, and started meeting people, and then through our field we met Pat O'Toole, and then Pat came down the field and stuff, and he's still my hero, and he's the only guy that ever taught me anything in paintball. He's hands down my favorite player of all time. And so then he got, where he was playing with Tony and then a lot of the other guys. And then we started building the program and everything.
Hey,
so it's been me and my brother. What's that?
I was just wondering.
What did you say? What did you say?
What did you say?
You being a smart ass, I can't hear him. And stuff, but that's well, we started with that. Started the team, and then Kev, he's been with us longer than anybody. Kevin Bird, stuff. So then we just built everything off of that. BBD, yep, yeah. I wish he was in here now, and all that. So then after that, it's all history.
I'll send him the link. I'll send him the link.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, he needs to be here.
Shout out to Dustin. What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit, son. Oh shit.
Who's in the house? He got in.
Hey,
yeah, baby.
Through it.
Yo!
Right here.
The voice.
Oh man.
Danny Manning, Chip Bird.
Welcome. Can you hear us, Danny?
Perfect, dude.
Oh.
Look at his so glorious. Look at his glorious beard.
Yeah, that's hilarious, man. I've been working on my beard game.
So
hey, I'm catching up. I'm catching up.
Fuck you, Kenny Williams. Tell him, Anthony.
Yeah, Croupen's on
Yeah,
that
man.
shit.
Fuck you, Kenny.
All right.
Anyway, I was just making sure, especially now that we got Danny in. Are we just going through like what Brad said? Is he wanted the beginning of our shit or all the way through our whole career? I was just throwing. That's all I was saying, Anthony.
I know. I wasn't.
Oh no, that was just the beginning.
Right.
We could be here all night with Anthony. Anthony, how'd you get started? 2 hours later, he's still talking about it.
Hey, you guys.
No, I was right at the end till we started the team. That's when everybody know what happened after that. You know,
Yes, this is amazing. We're getting tons of people
Yeah, we
texting
are.
in.
I
So
see 'em.
welcome everybody.
there's my buddy Steve-O.
Yes,
Mike Brock.
yep. And basically,
What up,
the
Eric?
question is how you got involved with paintball, and I guess you can take it as far as Anthony did or whatever. But we'll jump and welcome you to the room. So, Danny, how did you find out about paintball?
Well, basically, I got hurt. I was playing another sport, disc golf, and I went to Japan, Sweden. I came back from there. I got hit. A lady hit me on a motorcycle, drug me down the road a couple 100 feet, and it basically broke my back. And so a guy who was there that I met there at my rehab facility basically told me that if I get my ass back together and get on my feet again, he'd take me to play paintball. He did, and that was it, man. From then I was hooked, dude.
Wow.
I loved it from that day, you know, and that was in '94, and that was basically it. We played with a bunch of local cats, and I thought we were good enough to go to the NAPSAs. We went up to the NAPSA 10-man. We won it, you know, and
what team?
It was Black River Immortals, and that's basically where it started. From there, I just loved it, man. I haven't quit. I mean, all the way up until the Fight Club 10-man. Of course, I was stewing on the couch, not doing a whole lot of anything, wishing that I could come back and had something to do. But as soon as the 10-man revival came on, and you know, the Fight Club 10-man in Chicago, I went up and played with the All A's. We had a good time, you know what I mean? You can't hold that against me. You know what I mean? But I like the All A's, don't get me wrong. They're all really cool dudes, but you know, I mean, they're serious shit. If you're not throwing down at the highest level, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're their brother or their cousin. Your ass is up the road if you're not producing. And
Right.
those cats are on, you know, they're on time with playing with each other a lot, you know, and they're a little core group of guys, you know. So I'm just glad Spec called me to come back and play, and from there it was on, dude. I loved it.
Fantastic. Paul?
I just in my hometown, there was an apartment complex, and behind that apartment complex there was a block of woods. And back in this block of woods, way back in there, there was a garage for no good reason. And somehow, some way, my friends ended up with like 4, 5, 6 Nell Spot 007s. This was 1983. And we were wearing nothing but shop goggles. And the way it worked is we just showed up at the garage and the guns were there. All we had to do was like bring some CO2 cartridges to go get paint. So I just started out in the woods with some Nell Spots in '83. And that's how I got into it. Just some guys dragged me out in the woods. Pretty simple. Not much to it.
Understand.
I caught the bug. I mean, but I was, you know, I was a country boy in a matter of speaking. I mean, all we had ever done is shot guns. So the thought of getting to shoot other people and, you know, do it over and over and over again was a super big thrill because I was an adrenaline junkie. Skateboarding, BMX, motocross. I mean, and ultimately the only thing I ever wanted to do in my whole life was surf. That's all I ever wanted to do. And I was born and raised in Ohio. So, you know, if I'd been in Florida, California, or Hawaii, I would have been where I wanted to be. But paintball was it was kind of that thing, man. I mean, I don't know how everybody else views it, but it was definitely an adrenaline junkie thing for me.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Tony, how about you?
I started late. 20-some-year-old kid. You know, I played I played basketball in college and track in college. I was always an athlete growing up, high school. You know, all state quarterback, whatever. You know, basketball, track, football, all that. And then I got hurt in college. I separated my shoulder, broke my wrist same time in basketball practice. So I was kind of like the end of my career in basketball in college. So after that, I started, you know, big into drag racing. I was drag racing every weekend. I worked for a company that was it was called Gebhardt Pro Cars. It's in Illinois. We built race cars there. I left there, started my own place called Late Night Creation Race Cars. And one of the guys who was kind of partners with me, helped me out, Scott Wilson, he kept trying to take me out to play paintball. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to go chase guys around in the woods playing paintball. So he finally ended up taking me out. I played with a VM68 first time, you know, and I, like everybody else, you're hooked after that. The next day I went out and bought me nice stuff. So I went out and bought me a tracer, PMI tracer, and I thought I was shit with that. I mean, and I really think to this day why I got to be such a good player, because I started out with a pump gun. You know, I'm playing against everybody who had a VM or an automatic or something. You know, and then played. Ended up buying an automatic. I joined Swarm's amateur team, then ended up joining Swarm, and then Center Flag, and then Smoke. You know, and then that's where the story ends with Smoke. Well, it ain't ended yet, but that's where I'm at now. Oh, I forgot. I played pro with both Swarm and Fury. You know, Scotty,
right?
Colorado, yeah.
Yep. Smokey
started in like 2000 with the ex-brother-in-law on New Year's Day big game. I had Wacky Warriors, a field out in St. Louis and Wentzville. And I used to golf every weekend before that and never picked up golf clubs after I played paintball one time. And the rest is history. I mean, played locally, and then I guess the first would be Brass Eagle All-Stars. That was like a national deal. Then Shock Tech. Then pro with Red's Factory, and then Smoke, and then that was it. I played World Cup 10-man first event, and then we went 7-man pro after that. So then was out for a while, and then wouldn't come back with any other team, and back with my homies and messing it up. And we're about to start, like Tony said, the story is far from over.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Anthony, that brings me to the general conclusion of, or the origination of Brimstone Smoke, which I believe you are the expert on, correct?
Yeah. Okay. The biggest thing with, everybody called us Brimstone, and then is it Smoke? Is it Brimstone? Back and forth, stuff like that. Okay, I'll set the record straight. Brimstone Enterprises, that was the company that owned Ultimate Airball, the bunkers, and then Smoke and Clothing and all that. We were their factory team and everything. And then once we, instead of being, the team name was Smoke, so that's how it was, Brimstone Smoke and everything and all that. Yep. And then once we had the bunkers going on, and then we started, like the Ultimate Madness, and being in the industry and all that stuff. And you know how it is when you're in the middle of it, you get to meet people like Crouppen there. We played against Brass Eagle guys all the time in the finals. So, you just get to pick up better and better players up and all that. Then you get guys that's really part of the family, like Tony and all them.
Yep.
Of course, Danny, glad he's here with us. He's the voice.
I wanted to play with Smoke for a really long time. It just worked out super good, man. I didn't have a team to play with for the ICC. Tim Montrosser, he hooked me up with Tony, and
I called Tim, and I was like, Tim, I need one guy. He's like Danny Manning. I'm like, boom, sold.
Yeah,
I love it. I feel like I'm at home, man. I needed to be there.
I mean, it really feels like that Danny's been with the team for 20 years.
I don't know, man. We might
forever.
that a little bit.
Mess around, buddy.
But Danny and Trauma Head, they sponsored us, like right from the start. So we always had our Trauma Head stickers on our hoppers.
I know, Reg was
Trauma Head.
Yeah.
Trauma Head.
Hey, I was telling Brad earlier, Danny Manning, not only do we know this old shitbird as Superfly, but you know what his real name is? He's the Star Maker. If we talk about Trauma Head Sports and Danny doing those voiceovers, I mean, honestly, when paintball was in its fledgling, when it was in the beginning, Danny was out there voiceover on those videos. Was that not just the most glorious thing you could have? Is Danny like doing a voiceover telling how you were like railing Muppets?
Well, at the beginning,
I know Anthony knows that, because Anthony already pointed that out.
Oh, 100%.
In our hour and a half long warm up.
yeah, right.
I mean, it was like we've been on all night. I feel like I've been on here for like 5 hours.
When Trauma had first started, I had to watch what I said about anything because I could say something about a sponsored team or somebody who sponsored the videos. So it was hard. It was basically me and Jeff sitting in the living room, you know what I mean? Watching games, do a little voiceover, and as it went on, it got a little bit better. It was easier for me once I could just get loose and say what I wanted to say. But I mean, Rich Telford helped me a lot with that, man. He lightened up the scene a lot for me. But, I wanted to make people famous, man. I just wanted to say their names during games. And there's a lot of good paintball videos out there. And I think a lot of them are docudramas. I don't think a lot of them wanted to show you like dirty, real good games, that were true playing games. So Trauma had trying to bring that every tournament to the next tournament to the next tournament, just trying to show more or less games and a little bit of the paintball life.
There we go.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And,
Yeah,
and
but
Danny, back then, you tried to make them famous.
The tone of your voice and the inflections that you put in and the fact that you played the game and you knew all these guys, man, that made all the difference in the world. It wasn't like some outsider just like yapping, making background noise. You were like laying it down, man. You were like intrinsically describing it. And just like I said, the inflections in your voice and the tone of your voice, and when you talk, it's no different than what you're doing right now in this podcast.
Yeah, or right on, man.
Videocast. I'm sorry, I stand corrected. Brad already scolded me once.
Oh no,
man, I went back to some of my voiceovers and definitely thought I sounded like probably full blown retarded, but pretty close to it.
You feel
like I said, as it went on, I started learning people's play. I learned teams. I knew their names. And so if I had a chance to give them a shout out on the video, or if they did something good, man, I'd always try to give them love,
This is against the Image. We always played good against the Image. Always, I don't know what it was. It was like we rose up to the next level playing Image. And
shout out to Trauma Head on YouTube, guys. This is Trauma Head video. They have all these videos out on YouTube, so go take a look. And so continue, guys. Oh wait!
Fuck, my phone's getting ready to die.
Turtle wants.
Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, man. Turtle, you better get back in that shell, boy. We might be coming for you.
Shit, you can't take anything away. Everybody knew how good Image was, no matter what.
Oh no, they were good.
That was a team that you for sure, if you saw them in your schedule, you definitely were. I mean, for me, I thought it was playing the best teams in the world, and Image was one of them.
The Image was good, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, it brought out. I guess it brought out the best in us. But we played Naughty Dogs, and we turned right back around and we played Image. I remember at World Cup we played Naughty Dogs and turned right back around and played Image, and it was just like it brought out the best of us. But then we'd go lose to a team you never even heard of before, and that was paintball. You never knew, back in the day, you never knew.
Yep.
So we lost Anthony. What happened to him?
Yeah, he'll be back. Kevin used the damn charger.
Use the damn charger.
Kevin, get on here. We told I sent Kevin the link. He needs to get on here.
Yep. We can have guys in and out and in the waiting room backstage if they really want to cycle themselves in, so we can make it
holidays to everybody out there in the world right now.
That's right, Jeff.
If you see any smoke, it's from the candle that I've got going on in the room.
Right. Hey, this is my celebrating the holiday today.
I just, I'm just brand new with this crew. And
no, he's not.
It's a big honor to be with these guys. But I just wanted to thank you for having us on tonight. And I also wanted to say that I really want to be blunt about this, but tonight's a joint effort for Smoke.
Man, you're pretty blunt right there.
Already used that one.
Oh, damn.
Double dip.
Right. Exactly. Well, now this is free form, so we can go wherever. We were discussing the ICPL. We can go with the ICPL, the ICC, the classic resurgence that brings us all here together because you guys have been playing it since the Fight Club guys brought it back in Chicago, up until now, in where you've added Paul as a coach. And why don't you explain to the people out there, what you've come up with, the changes in the team, the modifications? It's all on you.
Well, first of all, if the mechanical movement never came about, we wouldn't be talking right now because most of us were retired. I mean, I was retired. I know Crouppen was. I know Danny was probably playing. Anthony was. Jonathan was. I mean, pretty much all of Smoke, we were retired. And, the first ICC I heard about, I wanted to get Smoke together. So I started, texting everybody. And it's like, let's get the band together. And, everybody's like, yeah, but I never got to it. But then Lane's event came around in Atlanta. And I believe you were the head ref there. Or were you not?
Ultimate.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Ultimate.
Yep.
So, so I called my first call was Pat O'Toole. And I was like, hey, dude, him and I had been playing together since 30 years, different teams. I was like, let's get the band together. Let's get Smoke, playing in. He goes, well, I'll play. He goes, I ain't doing any of the legwork. Let's get it together. So I said, I'll do it. I'll get everybody together. We'll go play. And we did. And,
full speed ahead.
Full speed ahead. Yeah. I mean, since then, we went there and we played ICC, missed the cut by 1 point. 1 point. And that just keeps everybody going and going and going. We changed the roster a couple of times. Now I think we got the roster that really can take us somewhere. We got the speed, we got youth, we got old guys, still. So
Jeff Crouppen.
I don't know what else to say. We got. Half the team are still OGs, but half the team is some new guwe
Right.
And I think we got the talent to really do some stuff. We just, we're from all over. We got Kentucky, we got Tennessee, we got Illinois, we got Michigan, we got Ohio, we got Florida,
West Virginia,
St. Louis. We can't practice every weekend like a lot of the 10-man teams can. So we rely a lot on our talent and a lot of, playing together the past 20 years. So that's, we're lucky.
When you think about it, last year, we only had one practice between the events.
Yeah, one practice. That was it.
We played, had a practice before Chicago. We played Chicago. We didn't have any other practices before we played the ICC. You understand? So, for a team that just gets together, when we see each other, we all get down, But I think it's going to be a lot better now with Paul, not just playing wise, but I think it takes a bunch of choices away from Anthony and Tony, and it just settles a lot of the straight questions across the board. I always feel like player coaches are good in their there's some of them that really stand out, but we need someone who can just step in. They make the decision. They say who's going to play. They say what we're doing. We come together. They keep us all our heads in there. When we get to those events, you know how it is. We're pulled 100 directions, talking shit to everybody that we know or haven't seen. It's so hard for some people to keep focused. So with Paul there, I think it's going to be a lot easier. If they don't listen, he'll just yank a fucking knot in their neck.
Yeah, but you know what, Danny, I know that's not going to happen. It's like I've said repeatedly. I've said this over and over again. This team has got a super high skill set, and they've got all the tools to do everything. And I really feel like if just as an observer, and I'm totally, if you think about it, Danny, the only people I knew on the team were you and Scotty. And so as an outside observer, it's me. So the way I see this and the way I've seen it already, the only thing, and I've been in this game, like I said, since 83, playing competitive paintball, playing on teams, captaining teams, coaching teams, whatever the case may be. And I just know that it's taking the off-field pressure off and letting players be players. We all know that. Anybody who's been on a high-level program knows one thing. I want to show up, fill my fucking tubes, load my loader, let me walk on the field, and let me go fucking split rails on Muppets. Right?
Right. Get down.
That's what we want to do. And
Preach.
We don't want to worry about that stuff. And I know that there's players on this team that have been concerned about the stuff off the field. And I can't define that. I don't know exactly what that is yet, but that's my goal, is to get there. And this COVID thing, we all have to face. It's really slowed the progress, but it's not just us and it's not just our team. It's every team. Everybody's experiencing the same thing we are. You know, when are they getting to shoot their guns? When are they getting to air up their tanks? When are they getting to put paint down their barrel? What's that? Are we shooting left hand, right hand? What are we thinking about? Where's our headset at? How serious are we about this, about winning? Is it just a weekend thing and it's all for fun? Or are we out for blood?
Oh, there's
Shit.
That's what I'm saying. Are we playing the pain game? Or are we just in this for fun?
Yeah.
The moonshine I have where I'm at.
Yeah.
Me as a coach,
It'll kill
I
anything.
want to lay this out for everybody up front. I'm saying it right now. I play the pain game, and I'm not here for fun. I'm old school, and I'm coming to get you. And the only thing I want is the biggest trophy there is, first place, and all these guys right here standing on the podium. And I don't even want to be in the picture.
Shit, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm
You'll
just
be right there with us, buddy.
Listen, that's what I'm saying.
You'll be right there with us.
I'm here. I know these guys right here. I'm just glad to be part of the program.
Right on.
It's like a kid in a candy store, and it's a lot of fun, and there's nothing but good things going forward. This COVID shit's going to blow over. We're all going to get back out on the field and
Rat people.
Yep.
railing
Well,
up.
welcome back, Anthony. Welcome back. You were missed.
Kevin, BBD's talking shit about you, Ant.
Maybe he can't hear us. Can you hear us, Anthony?
Yeah, my bad. My phone was about to die. I know, I'm sure. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you, dude.
You got
Hey,
me?
Turtle, I'll bring you some good moonshine.
What
when
about
I
now?
see for sure, brother.
Everything's all goddamn fucked up. Sorry, guys.
Not a problem. Welcome.
All right, cool.
Okay,
What up, Kayla?
Yeah, what's up with those OG smoke hemp pants? I'm wanting
That
some of those out.
dude,
yeah,
we'd
that's
like to,
my
but
phone
we're
died, and then I needed. Okay, I got you guys now.
Needed a snack. You can say.
You need a snack? Have some ultra skills.
Yep.
What up, Logan?
So, what are you guys talking about? I just got back.
I was talking shit, and I went on like this crazy rant, but I'm all done now.
There you go, Dustin. Look at that.
Yes. So
Yeah,
we
Logan's another OG from the field.
Yeah, Jake, that's our little Florida young guns coming in.
we have a question on where you can get some smoke shirts because everybody's loving on the
BrimstoneSmoke.com.
Damn.
You can go to either two places, TeamSmokePaintball.com. That's our team
Man,
website.
fuck you, Jake.
Or you can just go right to our store and it's BrimstoneSmoke.com. And that's one of the reasons we brought Paul on, because our sport, we got our website, our store now, and then
Dustin put it up for you guys. So there we
yeah,
are.
man.
Dustin,
Thanks,
yeah.
Dustin.
Can we all give shout out to the magician, Dustin?
Dustin.
Leffler.
Dustin, all hell,
He makes it happen, dude.
all hell, Dustin.
Yeah, right. If I have
He's been a-
$20, I'm giving it to Dustin.
He's been a godsend to me. Before Dustin came along, I was doing between
Oh my God.
Kevin was doing the website, and I was trying to learn how to do the store, and I was doing the online sales.
He
and I was
is.
doing, I mean, it was just like crazy. So yeah, thank God for Dustin came along.
He's
But
for
you know
sure
what,
the man.
Tony? What do you besides all that you just named off? What do you do for a career? You're a golf pro, right?
I'm a golf pro. Yeah.
Golf pro. You teach.
Yeah. I
That's
work
amazing.
at.
That's quite a schedule. I don't know if you
Oh,
took
yeah.
up with
Welcome,
golf.
Caesar. Welcome.
Hey, Caesar.
Caesar Pizza.
Caesar.
He loves
Yeah,
your hat.
because I kept telling
Yeah.
Cody.
How come you're on team?
Caesar.
I'll let you 6 people.
Yep.
Big calf, straight hustler too.
Caesar Pizzo.
It's nonstop. People love the show.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Yeah.
Caesar Pizzo. Can we say enough great things about Caesar?
Yeah, you know, it was. I mean,
Seriously.
Caesar, not last ICC, but the ICC before that. We were in our tent. We were sitting there, and all of a sudden Caesar came up to us and like a bag of 25 freaking Ultra Silks. He's like, "Here, I want to sponsor you guys." We're like, "Holy shit!" I mean, he came out of nowhere and just wanted to sponsor us. And
Right.
I've known Caesar forever because when I worked at Center Flag, we sponsored Fusion with the electronic trigger frames, and I actually went to their practice at Badlands and put all their frames on right then and there, and I've known Caesar ever since, and it's just been good. And all of a sudden now he comes up and boom, he goes, "I want to sponsor you guys." And we just got some new cool stickers for the top of the lids today. We just put them out.
Got 18-inch right there.
Yeah, it's really badass. So
18-inch right there.
Yeah.
Recognize that shit.
Yeah. Can't say enough about Caesar. He's been really good to us. So we're turning the favor over and being really good to him. So
That's
you
fantastic.
You have been. You've been great.
Yeah.
Now, is there anybody in the room who has played airball and has an opinion on airball, or do you guys prefer definitely the classic style of play?
I don't think it has anything to do with airball. I think if we get to play 10 men wherever it is,
I agree.
Just make it different. You know what I'm saying? The wood just adds a little bit into it, but
no, I agree.
Man,
I think as long as you're playing 10 man, it's either the woods, the mounds. It could be a hybrid field. It could be a hyperball field, or it could be airball. I mean, people say classic paintball. Classic paintball played 10 man on airball.
Yes.
20 years ago.
And we were talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
I know for sure Spencer and his Fight Club event ignited the 10-man whole style of mechanical back.
Oh, yeah.
But
hey,
Tim,
2016 winner.
Right.
But 14 guns.
I think Tim did it with more of a let's make it where we can get some major sponsors maybe in to see here or make it like an old event. And he did do that. He mixed the fields up. He made it where everybody goes. They have a super good ass time. It's the best event I go to all year, whether I get my ass whipped there all weekend or not. I love the ICC. And I can't say
or
that.
headbutt people randomly.
Well, I try not to do that. That was an armless hug, dude.
Maybe headbutts, Danny.
Armless hug. But what I mean is
going to have to be under control.
Right. I think the 10-man, whole 10-man thing is a lot better by throwing it in the woods and mixing up some fields. It was like in the old days. If you were amateur and you played, you drew pro teams. There were a couple pros in your bracket, Some amateur teams were good enough to kind of put a ripple in the pro bracket. And I think that's exactly what they do now with fields being hybrid and this and that, because any team can lose, man, on those fields. And they do. Some of the best players in the world get together. They play on one team and they go in those hyperball or airball and they beat the shit out of you. When you go out there in the woods, it's just a little bit different. You know what I mean?
And we proved that last year when we played Cap in Chicago. They had pretty much the best
roster, dude.
They had the best guys in the world almost on that team. There's a lot of, and I mean, I hate to say it, but we smoked them.
I mean, Dave Bangs and Tim Montrosser, to me, both being on one team.
They had gold
talking. That's just crazy. You know,
I think and we beat him with 7 alive, you know, and then, but then they turn around last event and then they end up, did they win or second place? I can't remember. Second,
second by 1 point.
By 1 point, So, you know,
it made a lot of difference because Rodney Squires and Glenn Forrester were playing for him.
Yeah, because
to me, I mean, I don't know Glenn that well. I mean, I've known him for a long time in the scene, but to me, he's super smart. And his game plan, his mindset, and then if you got Rodney Squires in there with them, those
two together.
And at the end of the day, when you're at the ICC last year, after Saturday, everybody else had hauled ass.
Yeah.
Rodney and Glenn were still there making game plans then and staying on the mounds field till everybody else was out of there. They did the exact same thing in Florida, and they really came out with good game plans, and they played way better.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, we were out walking the mounds field after our Saturday prelims, and I sit there mostly watching Dynasty walk the fields, and then I walk the fields because the way they walk the field. I even sent a message to Ryan afterwards. I was like, the way you guys walk the field is unbelievable, and I learned so much. You know,
Smoke.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring you right back. Smoke. I have to put this guy in on.
Oh my God!
I have to. Hang on, Paul. I'm gonna cycle you for a second. I did not expect this. So hang on. Welcome.
That guy right there would definitely suck a dick.
Yeah.
That guy right there definitely suck a dick.
Yeah. I love you too, bro.
Yeah, down there. Down there.
How long are you with us, Jonathan?
We'll see how it goes.
Okay. Perfect.
He's Beard Jedi. Man. Look at him.
So Tony's going on. I will bring Paul in while Tony's on break. Welcome, John. Welcome. Basically, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but it's a train wreck and it's wonderful.
What up?
So why don't you tell us how you got involved in paintball, Jonathan?
Well, shit. So, I covered a lot of it in the Smokehouse podcast, but my junior year of high school, me and some buddies decided to get into it. My cousin Tommy, who was from Tennessee, had gotten out of it at the time and let me borrow his BM68. And so that was the first gun I ever had. BM68 had the big aluminum block under the front that was the expansion chamber that dropped the tank out the back, weighed 20 pounds. And so I used that.
You didn't have the expansion chamber on the front. You weren't nothing. You had
So I had that, and ended up getting a Stingray 2 from Walmart. And
I couldn't remember if it was a Stingray or a Talon. I knew it was one of the shitty ones.
It was the Stingray, the plastic one with the barrel that just spun because it had the 2 pins that went in the side. And and then the other guys were like Talon pumps and all that other BS. But we owned 728 acres in Southern Ohio, so we had plenty of room to just run around in the woods and shoot each other. So and so that was it. That was where that all started, was up there on the farm. So
and what is your opinion of the classic format now with the resurgence?
Well, I mean, I'm playing again.
Right.
It was enough to get me back to playing. Like when X-Ball came out and everything, and 7-man kind of disappeared, we had kind of given up on it. And it was not only that, but also, the housing crisis hit and everything. And we just, the fields weren't really selling like they used to and stuff. And so that was just a time for us to get out. And then we didn't even think about it, or I hadn't thought about it in a long time, until all of a sudden ICC hits, and then the mech revolution starts. And then it was like, oh, I can do this again. And this is what we got into. And this is what made us love paintball again. So, because as fun as much as X-Ball and all that is, there is nothing in paintball that is better than the huddle before a 10-man game.
Oh yeah.
That is it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've got goosebumps now just thinking about that. The huddle before a 10-man game is the greatest thing in paintball.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So,
Hey, you guys say all you want. I definitely would rather play some 10-man airball over some of those shit woods ball fields that we've had to play. The hybrid's cool, but some of those woods fields, if I had the preference, and I know you guys would, would rather play airball 10-man.
I hate the woods, man. I hate that shit.
I know.
I thought the Badlands, man. I think Rennick's fields are badass.
Yeah. Well, and Woods can be good, but the thing is 90% of Woods ball games are won on a coin flip.
Right. 100%.
Yeah, and so, you know, there's been Woods fields out there that they've modified enough to where you can win from either side depending on your strategy and stuff, but 90% of Woods ball fields is won on a coin flip.
Yeah,
I think that's what
CPL will tell you that in Florida.
Yep.
I think that's what, you know, the difference between 10-man and X-Ball is now. 10-man, you go to an event, you don't know what you're walking into, and you got to go walk the fields.
Right.
X-Ball, you have the field 3 or 4 weeks before the event, you know?
Yeah.
And everybody goes to the same bunker every time. Same bunker every time. And, you know, yeah, it's fun. I played X-Ball before Smoke got back together, and that's what, you know, got me out. But still, it's you know, I think going to a field, anybody has a shot at winning because the fields are brand new to everybody, you know, and everybody's got to walk the field. Everybody's got to come up with a game plan. Some are different, some are the same, and that's the difference between 10-man and X-Ball. And I think that's, you know, that's why a lot of the old school guys came out. That's why we came back out, because it's, you know, going to that first event in Atlanta and seeing everybody, it was like walking back to, 2000 or 2001. It was yeah. It was awesome.
You hang out. Like, that's the thing. Like, X-Ball, you show up, you play your games, and you leave. Like, this mechanical and stuff, like, everyone gets together and you hang out, and it's just like it used to be back in the day. Like, you're at the field all day. And
we used to go to World Cup, and you walk through the vendor's tent all day long. You know? And now you go there, and nothing against X-Ball nowadays versus what is it, but now you go there and you walk through the tents and you're done. You go play your game. Like you said, you go home, and it's just it's not the same as it was in the glory days,
right?
You know, but.
The one thing about 10-man is that there's so many more skills. It's a different set of skills. Walking fields, you know, World Cup, we used to walk 10 different fields because we didn't know what we was going to play. Right. You know, walking multiple fields on the spot. And then having, where I didn't play for like 10 years, I stopped at Asylum down in Louisville because I was working down there. And I grabbed the best gun out, you know, like one of the top guns. And I go to shoot it, and it goes tat, 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 tat. I'm like, what the fuck is this, dude? They're like, everything's capped at 10 balls a second. And my want to play paintball again was 0. All X-ball, and you're capped at 10. You know, and that's the thing about 10-man, because you have shooting fast is a big fucking skill. That's what I worked countless hours on back in the day so we could shoot faster than the guys we played against. That's another skill now. Field awareness. You know, a 10-man field's huge, and you got 10 guys there. It's totally different than X-ball. You know, there's just and I get to shoot 15, 16 pods a game. I mean, like, what's better than that?
Yeah.
Of course, like what my brother said.
Nothing's better than 15 or 16 pods a game.
No.
I love it.
Except when you got to run all the way out to the corner.
That's what we want to do.
The bad guys are saddled down. It reminds me of the old days when you'd see Todd Adamson and Gary back in the back, or Telford would carry so much paint, dude. Him and Paxson together would carry so much paint, dude. And so I want him to.
I want him to bring back like the triple football, dude. You know, where I can hold it and shoot got 3 more pods there. I fill my pack up and my pockets, everything I can fucking stick a pod in. I'm doing it because everybody knows with the Planet Eclipse guns, you never run out of air.
No.
I think with my guns with the 90 tag, I can shoot like 18, 19 pods, something like that. It's crazy. So why not shoot it?
I want to make an unpopular opinion. Maybe it's unpopular, but you know what? I'm getting sick and tired of all the stuff on Facebook, always talking about the greatest player of all times. And I'm just going to tell you right now, the greatest player of all times is Todd Adamson. He was winning events. He was winning events before anybody else was playing, and he's still winning today. He's a viable player today, while all the rest of these guys they're calling the GOATs.
Yeah,
and God knows where, ain't even touched the gun.
Yeah.
Todd Adamson is the greatest player of all time.
I just think Gary.
I want to interject that into this podcast.
You can say whatever you want, and I believe that. But I just think Gary was a general with a bunch of soldiers in front of him, and he could just tell them to do whatever he
Are you talking Noblet?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's the greatest back player of all time. I'm saying the greatest player of all time. Hold it. Hip shot, Todd. Come on.
No. He's super good.
Poopy.
No.
Poopy.
I think he's for sure one
Hey,
of
man, I can't.
Hey, speaking of Todd,
if there's anybody I love more, it's Gary Noblet.
Yeah.
Like, he's the epitome of what I dreamed of as a backman.
Right.
So he's a chess player. He's just guns up. He's a stud. The very first time that I actually played Aftershock on the field with Gary Noblet in Las Vegas, after he blew my head off, he shoulder checked me. Gary Noblet is badass. They're recognize.
I know somebody just said, what about Bruno? But Bruno was my role model. I wanted to play like him. I wanted to be like how he played. Yeah, I mean, to me, he's super good. I mean, he's dirty, sneaky, good, smart. Everything I wanted to be back then. Just a dirty, rotten player, dude. I can't take anything away from my other two, man. I liked Rosie and Mooner, too. I wanted to play like they played.
A lot of us are Midwest guys. But you know what? I don't know that Jeff I don't know if he feels like he's a Midwest guy. Maybe he was idolizing Cali guys. I don't know. Maybe Jeff or even Tony. Maybe down in Florida.
Oh, I'm from Illinois, dude. I play the Badlands every weekend.
Okay, real quick. Tony will be from Illinois when it works for Tony to be from Illinois, but he will be from Florida when it works for him being from Florida. He will cuss cold weather until it gets hot in Florida, and then he's like, the hell with Florida, I'm from Illinois.
Whoa, okay.
Hey, but I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it's Crouppen was part of the Shock family there for a while.
Yeah. Todd is definitely an all-around one of the best players around, as far as longevity too. You know, I mean,
and Todd and Tammy has supported Smoke since day one. You know, when I was with Dinner Flag, he sponsored us, and the first thing I did was I called Todd when we got the 10-man together. I was like, Todd, you know, Smoke, you know, got a 10-man. We'd like to get sponsored. He's like, no problem, dude. Remember when we showed up in Chicago? He's like, hey, come here. I'm like, all right. So he went over to his car and gave us this big, huge box, and it was anything and everything in there from Extreme Rage, you know. And then, when we came back a couple of years ago, he sponsored us with paint. So
I was going to say, don't forget about that paint.
Oh no, this paint's awesome.
Oh, it's money,
man. Yeah.
Ask all the teams in Chicago last year. We had the best paint there.
We did. And the CBD.
Yeah, that's like Paul was talking about. You know, the Midwest. You know, we're all from the Midwest, and you know, we have shit weather. Everything we got to do, we got to drive hours upon hours upon hours and stuff to find a field to go play. And you know, it's just a whole different mindset. You know, dirty Midwest grunge, like Shock. Shock's everybody's heroes. And then we all played at Badlands, and that's the only field in the world that you can find fucking human teeth on the ground.
No doubt.
You're so right, Anthony. It's like in the Midwest, I don't know why. It feels like we're grinding out paintball out of the middle of a cornfield. It's like in Cali or in Florida. It's like those guys show up on these pristine turf, and they're all like these boys. They got it all year long, and they got all the support. And we're back here grinding in the mud, the snow. We're just trying to cut it out of a cornfield.
Hey, Paul, the first time I took content to Badlands, we're sitting there proning. And I'm freaking crony, and I'm like 299, 320. I'm like, oh, we're good. And Johnson's like, what?
Well, no, the first few shots were like 295, and then you're like, turn them up. And it was like, you don't walk on the field under 315, 320 at Badlands.
Not Badlands. You're shooting 290. You might as well go home. Yeah.
Well, you know, when I practiced with Fusion, I was in Badlands every other weekend for almost 3 years straight.
Oh, yeah.
From Ohio up to Badlands.
Yep.
I tell you, those were some of the best years of my life. And that
We went.
Oh yeah.
We got
We went
9
8
hours.
straight weeks. Yeah, we went 8 weeks straight, 9 hours each way.
One way.
So
can I shout out Eric Comrie?
Real quick, I grabbed a blast from the past out of the attic. So check this thing out.
Oh, you got it finally.
Oh, 50 fucking G's, dude.
G's.
Motherfucker.
Talk about that.
Yo.
This is that stupid spider that won us 50 grand though. And I put every stupid rail that I could put on it. Stupid ACI expansion chambers. Like I had this thing ridiculous. It was as gadded out spider as you could get. And then
one of the best games I ever watched in my life was fucking Bad Company with them spiders. Jason Andre wearing the fucking goddamn Raven pants, fucking with that fucking 2-pack harness built into the back of the pants.
Yep.
Yeah.
Center 50, and he fucking wrecked Dynasty, and those fuckers were shooting spiders.
Yep.
That was
The Spidators.
Jason.
Yeah, the Spidators.
A shout out to the Andre brothers.
Yep.
Hey, you know, Brad knows him, boy.
Far side. Yeah, we won.
Right
Jason Cliffy and I won an event in Wisconsin. Yep. That was actually one of the funniest stories. I think I told the story before, but yeah, it's quite a adventurous bloodline with the Andres.
Oh yeah.
So,
hey, you know what? Jason Andre, he also played with Method. Shout out to Method. The most highly sponsored paintball team of all time that ever.
Rudy.
Yep, Rudy
Eckert. That's right, Justin Meese.
Yeah, Method was out of CO paintball, wasn't it? Or a lot of them was.
100% right on. And you know what?
Yeah.
Most heavily sponsored.
See, that's the closest. That's the closest field to me, and that's like 2 hours, or where Splatter Park is now. I guess that's like 2 hours and 30, 45 minutes.
Anthony,
I'm going to say this right now on this podcast live. That Method team that I played with, that was the highest skilled, best team I ever played with. And had those guys stuck together, they would have fucking won everything. And let me lay it down. Those guys from Method was the only team that beat Detroit Fusion the year they won World Cup and beat the fuck out of Dynasty. Method beat Fusion. That Method team was the best team I ever played on. Eric Comrie, Rudy Eckert, Justin Meese. Man, I can't remember all the names, but I'm just saying that Method team.
Yeah, Josh Brown played with them too, didn't he?
That Method team was fire.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't.
And see, that's that's one of the reasons why we opened a field, because the closest one was like 2 hours away, and then it got to a point where every Sunday I would drive 4.5 hours to Louisville to Asylum. And because it had really good players. It was the best place around that had the highest competition of players.
Somebody say Asylum?
Don't you think that's crazy that as big? Ohio was like the 6th or 7th most populated state in the United States.
Yeah.
And think that Pyzex up in Cleveland, where else was there a viable
Pinnacle?
field?
Pinnacle, is that their field?
Yeah.
Pinnacle would shout out.
Yeah, Pinnacle. Shout out Pinnacle. But you know what? Now we
I never got to play it.
Paintball Country.
Yeah. See, that's why I've been wanting to check out Paintball Country, because Cincy's about 2 hours from me, so that's my backyard from around here. Yeah. We'd always go to Toledo Indoor, which was 4 hours. We would go to Toledo, Louisville, Indianapolis. That's the thing about the Midwest. It's like, man, you want to go play paintball against good paintball players. you're going to be driving a half a day,
That's
easily
right.
half a
And
day if you're
Paintball
lucky.
Country, those guys at Paintball Country have really done a great job. They made a great hyperball field. So we got Paintball Country. Shout out to Level Up. Shout out to Dave Pando. He's done a great job. And Level Up, that pro team, their first event before this COVID. Hey, man, those guys.
Those guys are balling. Yeah.
Balling, man.
They surprised a lot of people at that event.
Make the Midwest proud, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm screaming.
I heard there's a guy named Matt Askren who's a good baller.
Matt Askren, man, I've been preaching Matt Askren. Let me tell you something. Matt Askren is one of the best players. I've been playing since 1983. Matt Askren has a third sense. His gun skills are so insane. And him and Politi on Level Up. Did you guys watch Politi that first event? Man, that dude, he had been in that skill set for 10 years. One-handing guys, round snake, dude. I'm telling you, man, those guys are solid, and they shut a whole lot of mouths because there was a whole lot of shit.
Yeah, they did.
Before that,
they did.
Knocking them guys down. Mm-hmm. Those motherfuckers showed up, and they shut a lot of mouths.
Yeah. See, I remember Matt. I can't remember the name of the field, but it was down in Cincinnati, and Matt was, I think he would ref there or work there and stuff like that. He was just getting into, playing paintball seriously and stuff, and he was getting really good back then. And this has been, way back in the day and stuff. I'm glad he's stuck to it, and I'm glad he got his pro card, man. They deserve it. Well, there's a lot of guys that grind like that never get that pro status, man, and the more high guys that get it and Midwest guys that get it, more power to them,
Right on. I had a field in my backyard that Scotty Branham helped me set up. And we would have 50, 60 kids out there at a time. And I'd sit out there on the side of the field with a cooler, 12-pack of beer, and I'd scream at those kids all day long. Matt was one of them. And we just jokingly called it www.backyardpaintball.com. And Scotty Branham was there, and he played all the Homry brothers. There's so many guys, but we got 50, 60, 70 guys out there at a time. Bring your own paint. We were filling the tanks. Matt Ashton was one of them as a kid, and he really deserves where he's at. And again, just like you said, Anthony, he's a Midwest guy, and we should all be proud of him.
Hey, Paul. Paul, remember when we played at Billy and Adam's mom's front yard?
Yeah, that was the best time ever.
The gardeners used to have a field. They would just set it up in Billy and Adam's mom's yard, and we just have a practice. It'd be like a 10-man grind all day long.
That's crazy.
It was Heavy D. Heavy D. Do you guys know who Heavy D is?
Yeah.
The worst fucking back tattoo I've ever had in my life. That fucker came on me. I was the last guy. He fucking bunkered me. He hurt me so bad. I've been shot by aftershock like the entire time I've walked off the field, bonus ball. I've been shot by everybody. I've got scars on my body right now. I can show you. 20 years old.
Speaking of gardeners and getting destroyed,
he hurt me worse than any motherfucker ever hurt me in my life. Heavy D's a bad motherfucker.
Speaking of gardeners and getting destroyed, was it as bad as Telford assassinating Billy in the back bunker that one tournament?
That
was the coldest, coldest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. And that was a choice shot.
Yeah,
dude, that was so cold.
Colby Gallagher got choked out.
But the pause with the barrel down like that, and then he brings it up real slow.
Cold-blooded.
Gallagher got choked out once. We were practicing where Danny said in their front yard. Do you remember that when we called him the Lazignan Strangler? Whatever that sound is. Gallagher fucking did something, pissed off at him. He ran up and grabbed him by the throat. We all called him the Strangler.
Jesus.
I think Brad just let us have this podcast. He's gone.
These motherfuckers are out there.
Brad came in to say something.
I'm paying attention from the back. You guys fucking rock this.
Hold it. You got Danny Manning. Right there.
Saying much.
Danny Manning.
No, Brad just wanted to have his little
point direction right.
post. No. Brad just
Right there, fucking Danny Manning.
You're out there.
Yeah, come on, Krug.
Hey,
You got to
what-
say something, Krug.
I can't,
What the fuck is
I
up
can't
with
get
your
in a word
beard,
with these
dude?
motherfuckers.
Hey, Paul, you've
for
been
real.
celebrating. Bees, you've been celebrating all day, haven't you, bud?
Oh, you know I have, sir. You know I have.
I'm surprised you don't
I
have.
figured we'd have to cut it
I'm
short.
surprised you don't have pizza boxes stacked
I know.
behind them.
I know.
No.
I'm here, guys. I'm trying to direct it from the back, so I'll pull up questions and everything.
Hey,
You're just
we
kicking
don't
out.
want to hear anything anybody has to say. We're directing this shit. We're directing what's going down. Hey,
We're the only team that's taking
Anthony
over Brad's
Paul.
podcast.
lay it down, bro. Lay it down for us.
Hey, we got a minute here. I want to.
What?
What?
What happened?
You
What?
said you got to get that Walmart shit fixed, Ant.
Hey,
You got to get some better signal, homeboy. I'm in West Virginia, and you sound like
yeah,
a
well, we
hillbilly.
got a minute here, man. We got to shout out love to Kevin Bird, Scotty Branham, Marky Ireland.
Danny D.
Kenny Williams,
Fuck, I think my internet's
Cam.
Matty
Cam
Fred.
Williams.
no,
Caesar pizza.
it's bumfucked internet, but
Hey, listen, what about Danny the Man? We got to put a shout out to him.
Danny D.
God damn
What
it.
up, Danny Manning?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're good, bro.
I think my fucking internet's fucked up.
You're just-
Yeah, we gotta give love to our gunslingers, guys.
Yep.
Trey, Travis Brock.
Yeah,
Our
Caesar.
Brimstone team.
Yep.
Oh, I got Caesar.
Dude, the specimen.
We already said Danny.
Yeah,
Danny D.
The specimen.
God, I remember Danny D shooting Thomas Taylor to the ground.
We
And
all
that
shot
except-
in that ground.
I know, but Danny spun
Yeah.
completely around 180 and was still shooting him in his back. Yeah.
He was in the fetal position, like he was
Yep.
taking it, like in
Yep.
the fetal position. It was
Dude,
Yep.
what about Kenny?
Yeah.
Kenny just chased the dead man who tried to did a dead man's walk on us in Florida. Kenny tried to shoot him completely off the field.
he ran off the field. And
Oh, he ran off the field, grabbed it. Me and Mark Ireland are right there at the entrance. And he came and grabbed his real quick. And Mark Ireland and I are him freaking, we're just fucking getting him shit all the way. He came out of that field and booked
I thought he'd
all
go-
the way down. He was running as fast as he could to get away from us.
Danny too. Danny was sitting there. He was it was not, the dude came off and his eyes got super big and he was just skirmishing away to get away.
Skirmishing away.
It was ugly for sure.
Yeah.
But hey, it is what it is. That's what
Hey,
it
all
is.
right. You're right.
Well, I was there.
Ant's internet dropped out again.
Yep. He's like doing the robot or whatever.
So to put out some background on the internet. So
Yeah.
we grew up in
Well,
the
see,
middle of absolute
You
nowhere.
can't do a dead man's walk. It's in the rules.
God.
And stuff. And then, a couple of the refs was like, you can't do that when Trojan was coming over. But there was a couple of refs was wanting to throw.
And he's gone.
He gone.
That wasn't me. That was fantastic though.
Yeah, so you go to the middle of BFE and you hang a left, and then you keep going a while, and then you end up on the farm. So the only internet that he gets out there is satellite internet, and that shit is bad as you think it is.
Right.
Brad, we used to have some kick-ass practices out at the farm.
The farm was a grind.
We'd have weekend practices, and you're talking like 20, 30 games each day, and
Yep.
it was
Minimum.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rudy, that's where Rudy, we became good friends with Rudy because he was playing with he ended up with Atomics afterwards, but it was before Atomics. Enemy.
You guys know Rudy played for Detroit Fusion for a long
Yeah.
time.
Enemy.
Yeah, he was playing with Enemy with all the Naptown guys, with Chuck and all those guys.
Brad.
And they used to Brad Stevens and Chuck and all that. Yeah, Rudy Tron.
He also played Method, Rudertron.
Yep.
He was,
but yeah, no. So
Ninja headband. Rudertron
Yep.
is he's so OG. People don't realize it because he was so fresh.
So I heard he works for Callaway, right?
Yeah. And
I need to get a hold of him. You know,
yeah, but I still communicate with him. But it's like you got to understand when he was on Fusion, everybody on the team was so mean, and they always on him. And I always fucked with people that fucked with him. So I was like, he's defender. And so Rudy's my boy. I love Rudy. Rudertron.
Yeah. But yeah, Rudy and Ben Fredericks and all those guys would come out to the field or to the farm, and half of them worked for a big fireworks distributor. Yeah. So we would grind paintball all day, and then Mom would cook, and Dad would his band would play music that night. We'd shoot fireworks off, and Ant would be taking people on hell rides, which was a handle of Jack Daniels, his Jeep, and 700 acres.
Were you down southeastern Ohio? Is that where you're talking about being?
Yep. So the farm.
This driving me crazy, Danny.
Yeah. So the farm. Farm is let's see. The town you would probably know, Paul, is Chillicothe.
Fuck, I know it all, man, dude.
Okay. So
Gallipoli.
Okay, so in between Jackson and Gallipolis, there's a little town called Oak Hill. Well, you know where Bob Evans' farm is?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we were 4 miles from Bob Evans' farm, where Bob grew up.
Tony said.
Yep. So.
Oh, you were talking about Detroit Fusion being mean, dude. You came from Zero Tolerance and the Crow Warriors and shit. You guys were all
Crow Warriors.
If anybody wants to know anything about the Crow Warriors, don't listen to me. Don't pay no fucking attention to me. Go read what Rennick Miller wrote on the Aftershock page. The Crow Warriors are what created Aftershock in a fight. And I'm just telling you right now, the Crow Warriors were the roughest fucking mean motherfuckers I ever played on the field with in my life. They was the dirty nasty. And that was like between the golden cherry white trying to be a good guy and the like dark side, like Darth Vader of paintball. I mean, the Crow Warriors were fucking nasty, mean motherfuckers. And we won the Ohio Cup. We won the Ohio Cup undefeated. We never lost one single game in like 3 years of the Ohio Cup.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, it was always whenever we went to practice at Badlands, it was always like, who was going to start the fight first, Fusion or Aftershock? Because it was always a fight.
That's right.
Always a fight.
Yeah, but you know what? We had a lot of fights within Fusion, within the team as well. Yeah, let me tell you something. That team, man, can I read off? Can I please just read off? Let me read off real quickly. Just like a team roster. I mean, if we read off, I don't want to do that. I really don't.
Hey, Paul, I don't know if you just saw it or whatever, but Big Kev just commented saying that Kev started out on the West Virginia Stingers and was talking about playing the Crow Warriors all the time back in those days.
Yeah. But I'm all about Smoke. But all I'm saying is
Fusion's housed a bunch of really good players that came through that camp, dude.
Yeah, but you know, think about it. Rob Stutz went to OBR. Billy Colliver played pro with Fusion. Billy Colliver won a world championship with Detroit Fusion, and they all came from the Crow Warriors.
You're right.
Let me tell you something. I can tell you right now, those boys, they're guys. They'd show up to events. And I ain't proud about it, but them motherfuckers, they be dropping acid. They be snorting lines off fucking the fenders of ATVs. These were the baddest motherfuckers you ever played paintball with in your life, and they helped create Aftershock. The Crow Warriors had quite a history.
I don't know what it would be like to try to play with a head full of acid.
You should have watched them. I was watching them from the sideline. Nah, that's a true story. But you know, they won. Those guys won so many events. They were so good, and they were actually really good players.
Yeah,
but they were badass, just country boys.
That's the best way to be.
Well, yeah, but they all came from your down where you guys were at. Felicity.
Yep.
Come on, Rob.
Yep.
Billy Colliver, Brown County. They were all down all around you guys.
Yep.
Tony, did Kevin say why he wasn't jumping in?
No, he never did answer. I don't know
We
why.
got room, Kevin. He's out there in Neverland. Send
I
him
asked him
the
to come
link.
on my podcast, and he's like, "Oh,
But,
no."
you know, I mean, some of the guys from the Crow Warriors, let's think about evolution of paintball. Some of the guys from the Crow Warriors, Rob Stutz and Billy Colliver, both went on to Zero Tolerance, which both went on to OBR Pro, which both went on to Detroit Fusion Pro. And Billy Colliver won a world championship Amateur A in the season that they defeated Dynasty to win Amateur A. So there was a whole lot of Ohio guys and those guys that went on won those events in the NPPL. You know, and you know what's so weird about it? It was right before all you guys, like you call brothers, and a lot of you guys, it was like right before you guys like really started destroying shit. And that's what I'm learning. It's like I'm learning more of the stuff that I missed out on with you guys.
Yeah.
For sure. Wow, that was fucking something crazy right there.
Crouppen goes.
What? That's an education. I didn't know a lot of that, so it's all good.
My podcast, I couldn't even hardly get in words together because Crouppen's freaking and now he's not saying shit tonight.
No, I think he's been trying to for about 25 minutes is really what it is. So he's going to answer shit from like 20 minutes ago, but it's fantastic. We have time. And that's one of the things that I was just going to say is by now other people have tapped out. I feel like we haven't even started.
Oh, so. Hell no. We haven't even got to anything yet.
Exactly. So I love, and the history lessons. Here's the thing, Paul. I love the common threads that we all have from coast to coast. Every time we get together, we talk about players where it's like, oh, I played with that dude on this team, or you played with that dude on that team. And it's amazing to actually play for a very long time in a very, small sport relatively, but share experiences with so many people. It's one of those things that we never forget. I mean, we're talking about stories from 25 years ago, like it happened yesterday.
And that's what it seems like. It seems like the first time that Smoke stepped on the field, 10 years later, it was like we were still playing, last week in practice.
Yeah.
That's how it was. It's like, I know Jonathan. Jonathan always plays in front of me. And I know when he starts twitching his leg or his arm, I know what he's going to do. And, 20 years later, I still know that he's getting ready to do something. And so we need to buckle down because we're getting ready to fucking people up. I know that because I played so much with John. Anthony, I know he's going to do his shit on the other side. It's just like we played together so many times and we know each other so well. We know what we're going to do,
and when it comes down to it and Ant runs out of paint, he's going to run from one corner to the other corner and steal all of your pods, Tony, and then run back to the other corner.
Were you on that field, Brad? Were you watching that game against Farside when we played them in Atlanta?
I believe so. It
was in Atlanta, and Ant ran through like all 14 of his pods. Tony still got 3. Ant runs from
5 minutes left in the game and a 10-minute game. He already shot 14 pods.
Was it on the hyperball field? You said,
yeah.
I think I do have that one.
Yeah.
I think I do.
I don't know how.
Yeah, and Ant runs from one corner all the way to Tony's corner, steals 2 of his pods, and then runs all the way back to the other corner.
Yep.
And Ant's not fast.
That wasn't the infamous shoot your own dude game.
Yes, it was.
It was.
Yeah, I had that game.
Yeah. We would have won that game too because Tristan was all. Oh yeah.
I'm sorry for bringing that up, and I'm sorry for.
Oh no, it is what it is.
I mean, we ended up winning on points. But that was.
Yeah.
He's taking pods out of my backpack, and I'm battling Brock. Brock's just mirrored me, and him and I are going back and forth the whole game, and I'm yelling at Ant. God damn it, Ant, you need to conserve your paint. And then he runs all the way back over. I don't know how he didn't get shot. And he shoots all that paint. I'm like, it was the stuff Ant does. It just drives me crazy. But, Love the kid to death. So
It's one of those things that's great about 10 man is the combination of players that you can put together.
oh yeah.
You can't use 10 of the exact same skill set guys. You can't do that. You have to blend talent. And that's one of the things that we were discussing before the program, and I've discussed with a lot of people, which is fascinating, is the ability to adapt new philosophy, old philosophy. Oh, Danny's calling. Even when he's
his
away.
shadow on the screen. I see his fucking shadow. I can see him down there.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think he was announcing himself. I'm going to come back on the screen in 3, 2. Everyone is trouble.
Mine's Danny Manning. Everybody look at me.
Yeah,
That's funny.
But no, you're right, Brad. I mean, when Smoke came about, they had their 5-man, you know, and Jonathan can talk about this, and we went 10-man, and they took people from, you know, me and Pat came from the Center Flag, and then a couple guys came from Thunderstruck, and a couple other guys came from another team. And it was
so the first Smoke 10-man was IAO, and it was our 5-man squad, which was me and Ant, and then the 2 guys from Detroit, Garen Clark and Nick Gertzke, who had come through Detroit Rush and stuff. And then we ended up getting in. Dad had somehow or another become friends with Aiden Jacobson from the old Master Blaster days and stuff. And he brought a bunch of guys from New Jersey and stuff. And we put a 10-man squad together and played IAO Woods Ball.
I think he's experiencing technical difficulties.
He's hacking up along.
Right.
Yeah, I'm dealing with the Rona. Not really, but no, I started a month and a week and a half ago. My wife got me into running, so I started running, and I was thinking like she runs like marathons and all that stuff, and I was like, well, I hate running, but I should probably get into shape so whenever I get to a tournament, I don't die.
Whenever.
The first time I ran, I got a cold, and I've had a cough ever since running. So it just proves that running is terrible, and you should never do it. Yeah. So I've been through antibiotics and everything, and I still just have this stupid cough that keeps me up at night. It's terrible.
Finish your story.
Are you asymptomatic? Are you a carrier? Are you like a typhoid Mary?
The podcast I had him on, he was hacking the whole friggin' time.
Yeah, it's terrible. I can't stop.
Maybe we got to quarantine in 14 days, man.
Right, yeah. I've been in the middle of Tennessee's lockdown for a month. So.
All right, finish your story.
Well, that was it. Like, that was the first 10-man. I was just talking about the first 10-man. We ended up playing you guys with Center Flag the very last game.
Very last game.
Yep. And the funniest part about that was Ant had the long hair, and I remember you coming to the pits afterwards, and you were just like, "Man, I know I shot you like 3 times." And Ant smiles and like puts his head down and shakes his hair, and there's like 3 shells falls out of his hair.
That was in the 10-man days where I used to roam the field. Like I'd come over here and shoot over here and say, see how the game was going on the left tape.
Yep.
And I'd run over to the right tape and see how things were going over there. And then I go to the field. I was always running back and forth. Yeah, that was the old days when you could do that. Now, the 10-man fields are good, but they're just not as big as what they used to be.
Right. They used to be it was like half a forest.
Yeah. I can remember the 25-minute games. That's how,
Oh.
And there's some of the programs that I've had where guys are debating how big woods ball field should be, because if it's too small, then it's like speedball in the woods. And again, you guys are far more of the persuasion where it's air ball, hyper ball, whatever field, berms, whatever will play it. And it's one of those things that if there's enough people that want to go and have a tournament on large woods ball fields, so be it. If there's people who want to have 10-man airball tournaments, so be
Right.
it.
Right.
Whether or
Obviously, obviously Woods is where it all started, and there's a what's the word I'm looking for? Like there's a history to it and everything, but the reason that it moved out of the woods is because the woods is never symmetrical. You're never going to have an even woods field. And
Right.
so that's that, you still do it. I get it. But, if we go more, I personally would like to see it go all hyperball, mounds fields, that kind of thing. The air ball would be awesome, but that's a pipe dream.
Could you just do like a switch sides kind of thing? A 1 of 1, you play the field from both sides, you win.
Well, and that was something Tom had originally mentioned.
Yeah.
That in the finals they would do a round robin where everyone would play from each side of the field.
Yeah.
So that would make sure it was all even. But kind of like you run into these certain fields, and as much as like a hybrid can be, symmetrical because you can make adjustments, unless it's a true concept field. And then even then there's always going to be certain times that a side's going to be like, this bunker, has a little bit closer run from here, so you can get in a little easier, and it's got a better shot to this back corner that the other side doesn't have.
Right.
But there's subtle differences. Whereas in the woods, you can pull a side that we're playing for a stalemate, because you're not going to win from this side. You're just playing from a stalemate. And that comes down to nothing about skill, nothing about anything except the coin flip at the very beginning. Now, obviously, you can pull some miraculous stuff up, but, you look at the whole day on the field, 80% of games will be won from one side. And that's where –
That's all.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
That's great stuff right there. Everybody ought to listen to everything he just said. What he just said right there was golden.
Well, and that's
I'm serious. Everybody ought to mark that right there.
But now there's another layer to that as well, where I was discussing with someone the format of first place gets a choice between picking the field or picking the side. Because if they don't want to do the 2 games, which can turn into 3 games, which can drag on and drag on, then it's like, okay, first place, you get to either pick the field or pick the side. Which do you want? We'll pick the side. Okay, then that team gets to pick the field. Again, that's like another layer of strategy, but again, something where you have kind of your own control of your destiny as well.
Am I the only one?
Danny just brought El Chupacabra into the chat.
Oh, shit.
Am I the only one? You know what? When we start really talking about that, do you know, playing in the finals, and these guys know better than me. They can never know. And just my personal opinion, one of the things that bugs me the worst is this east-west field setup where the sun setting is directly in your eyes. And you get to choose. Am I the only one that feels like that's the biggest disadvantage in paintball is the sunlight?
Oh, end of the day is horrible. Or the beginning of the day.
Right.
And
we haven't run into that in the last year.
We did. We did.
Not really. We haven't really run into that in the last year. I don't think where it really affected anything as far as the sun.
And then the two tournaments ago at the ICPL in Florida, the hybrid field was lopsided, guaranteed.
We're talking sun, east and west.
I know that. But I'm referring. Yeah, the sun. I mean,
you can run into it and be horrible. Yeah. I mean, just absolutely just destroy you.
If there's, what, we all know, I guess ultimately what I'm trying to say about that is we all know we got high sides, low sides. We've got all these elevation changes in a field that give advantages or disadvantages, and we deal with that. And I guess just me personally, the thing that's always bothered me the worst has always been the sunlight or the shadows or that's just personally.
Yep.
I mean,
no, I agree with that.
But then again, you talk about the 10-man fields a lot. I mean, then you go back to, playing airball again. And what do you want? Do you want to play woodsball fields like that? that's where you went back for 20 or 25 years ago. You never know what you're going to step onto. Everybody's got to play the field. It doesn't matter who it is. Everybody's got to play the field, either side.
Right.
Now, now versus, well, you got to lay out 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, yeah, but no, just because there's airball doesn't mean that they're going to release the field layout 3-4 weeks beforehand.
I agree that. No. I played 10-man airball last year at World Cup, and I had a blast.
Yeah.
But I also played the mound. I had the mounds, but I had a better time playing the mounds than I played the airball. But I mean,
right.
still, yeah. It's
what kind of duration of time are we going to have in between where they make changes to the fields at the ICC to where we actually get to play? Is that a 5-day window? Is that a 7-day window? Is that 14-day window? What's that window? Who knows that answer?
Yeah.
You mean like the field set up beforehand?
Yeah, because I believe, aren't they supposed to modify and change things from what it's set up as?
He's done it. He's done it every year, but you never know. I mean, usually does it a week ahead of time. Because Danny played there the last 2 years, right? Yeah.
Before then, and then you go up there. There's always something added into the hyperball field for sure.
Yeah.
A change up.
I mean, the mouse field won't change. I think the woods ball field changed a little bit from 2 years ago.
Well, and the woods ball can change just from clearing certain lanes and cutting certain pieces of brush. So.
But that's where I have so much confidence in this team. They have such a high skill set. These are the kind of guys that can show up and within like 30 minutes get warmed up and get their game on. And that's why they are who they are. And we're going to get through this COVID delay. And all I can say is this: just imagine these same exact guys if they get in 3 or 4 practices within a 3-month period or 4-month period. It's quite something.
I mean, it would be scary if we practice every weekend. I mean, it would be, because I know the talent we got, and if we practice every weekend like a lot of teams do, then it'd be really scary to see what we can do. But we don't. We get 1, maybe 2 practices a year, and we're relying on talent and who we played with in past 20 years. That's how.
Well, and it seems like too that there's pockets. Like 3 or 4 guys can go practice here. 3 or 4 guys can go practice here. 3 or 4 guys can go practice here.
Right.
Seeing all these pockets, that's a positive too.
Yeah, we do that too.
Yeah. We all know as players, what's it about, guys? It's about gun time. It's about our fingers on those triggers. It doesn't matter if we're standing in our backyard shooting left hand, right hand, and we're just dumping rounds, or if we're out with just a couple friends. It's all about gun time. And when you're talking about, again, I keep going back to the skill set. It's not like you guys are like newbies. You guys are like OGs.
Right.
You guys got high skill sets. So there's a high level of confidence, and you guys get warmed up, and you're on.
I'm out.
Yeah.
And that's when we started to get on the podium, when everybody started playing on their own. Like the St. Louis guys would be playing, on their side of the world. Anthony and them guys would go up to level up and then play on their side of the world. Me and the Florida guys would play on this side of the world. And everybody were playing every weekend. So everybody was, groomed and going into a tournament. Whereas 2 years ago, we weren't, I think I was really the only one playing going into a tournament because I was playing with my Florida crew here. But now everybody's playing. We're not playing as a team together, but we're playing separate. And it's just keeping everybody sharp. And that's when we started being on the podium. Last 2 tournaments, we podium.
What's wild, I live in Knoxville, which is a decent-sized town, and I live in a paintball desert. Like, there is nothing here except some, little rec field that's, as rec can get. So I'm 4 hours from
Mark Davis. That's a blast from the past.
He's laying it down.
That's true.
Yeah. I've known Mark Davis probably 30 years, man. That's the guy who taught me.
He hit the nail on the head, man.
He makes some of the most beautiful cockers of all.
Yeah. He's the one that taught me how to work on cockers right there. He used to come to my field in Springfield, Illinois, called Gotcha Paintball, and do all the cocker work.
Well, you look at his comment just now. That's the formula to win.
Yep.
You got to beat it all. You can't just beat the other team. You have to beat everything.
That's right. Beat everything.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the woods. You got to beat everything: the field, the refs, the the weather.
You know, and John Gregory told me that once. We were in Pittsburgh. And if you guys remember John Gregory, who started JT,
Oh yeah.
He always took big rubber boots to every event. And he'd be standing out there in the pouring rain in the mud. And he looked at me one day and he just goes, you know, exactly what you guys just said. You don't just beat the other team. You've got to beat the refs and you got to beat the environment. And I looked at him and, you know, that says it all. You've got to beat everything. You've got to beat every single thing against you. And it includes the refs, the other team, the environment.
Oh, yeah.
Who remembers playing in the desert of Las Vegas when, you know, you'd slide into a bunker and the sand would blow up into your cocker? You know, you'd be blowing sparks.
That's every weekend down here in Florida.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's about accountability too. It's about accountability too. You know, it's here in the now. It's about accountability. People got to go out and do their shit, and they got to do what they're supposed to do. Period. You know, and it's, you know, some of the time shit like that happens, but sometimes you just don't play good enough to win. And when that happens, it is what it is. You know.
Was that a comment from the top right corner?
Yes, it was.
He finally woke up.
No, I just finally was able to talk over you. Usually you guys talk over me and shit. I'm just letting you. Wow. I'm amazing right now. Sure. We're talking about some shit like some old school still shit. Let's talk about what the fuck we're going to do as a team to continue moving forward and to win in this movement that we're doing right now. That's what's up. That's what, you know.
Word.
At this point in the podcast, that's what we need to be talking about is what's up and what we're going to do as a team and a family moving forward with both teams.
Damn. Krupa getting all serious and shit.
Hey, there you go. Hey, you wanted my shit? There's my shit right now. That's my 420 smoked out mentality as I sit here.
His moment of clarity. Now he's going back into the zone.
Yeah, he caught a wave of clarity. Yeah.
It is what it is. You got it. You got the real deal shit right there.
But no, I mean, if it wasn't for the Tin Man coming back, we would not be here. We would still be doing. I mean, Jonathan and I'd be doing the family life. So would you know, Dan. Well,
I'd be fly fishing and playing disc golf.
Yeah,
that's all I would be doing.
Disco.
Disc golf.
Oh, disc golf. Danny
not disco. I mean, I could do some disco,
like
but
world champion disc golf guy. Tell us all about it, Danny Manning.
Yeah, Danny Manning.
No world champ here, man.
Dude, every time we go to a tournament, we're sitting around at the house and like, we learn more shit about Danny Manning, what the hell he's done in his life. It's unbelievable.
Damn, Danny Manning.
Every day we find out something new that he's done. We're like, holy shit, what hasn't he done?
Usually if it's got anything to do with hunting, killing, or eating something, I'm down.
Man, you were a disc golf guy.
I did, man. Well, I used to play really a lot. Like I said, I
come on.
A lot of different places. And
all right, what were you ranked? What were you ranked in the world?
11th.
11th.
And that wasn't nothing then. It was the fact that I was just getting started.
Mr. Modest now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was just getting started then. But still, man, that's back when the world record was only like 683 feet. It's 1,100 or 1,300 feet now. That's how
it's a long. Simon Lazat threw that damn thing a long way. Yeah. But now that's also throwing it in like they're in like the desert with like a 60-mile-an-hour ripping wind in a certain direction. They're getting it up and letting the wind carry it. So it's.
Hey, you know,
they're still throwing it a long way.
Not in my house.
I think Jeff Cruppen. I think
suck my dick.
Man, what is up next with the team? I mean, where are we going to show up at next? What are we going to do? Where are we at? What are we going to go?
ICC is what it's looking like.
As soon as COVID shuts up, we're going to be all getting together for a practice.
Yeah.
It's going to be a Midwesty or a level up or even at Pittsburgh, you know, but we're all going to have to get together then for sure.
And before all this happened, I was trying to get a practice set up at Urban Assault. But then, you know, like we were talking, Brad, you know, this mech event, there's like a tournament almost every weekend somewhere in that area, like Pittsburgh or Ohio or somewhere.
New Jersey.
So trying to schedule practice now, it's like the old days where there used to be a tournament every weekend. Somewhere you were going to a tournament almost every weekend, and that's what it's getting back to, which is awesome. But trying to schedule practice now is crazy because there's so many tournaments going on now. I know a lot got canceled now.
Look what just happened last weekend, over in Indy.
Yeah.
We saw what happened there.
Yeah. So we're going to try to get a practice together before ICC. I think ICC is going to be our next event.
So you got a spot. You got a spot in the.
Oh yeah. We got 2 spots actually.
2 spots. Right?
Smoke and then Brimstone. Yeah, we both got in. So yeah. So
those
and
guys.
then our next focus is Chicago, man. The last event of the ICC.
Yeah, we want the rings. We were so close last year getting the rings.
And there's some killers from GZ, dude. You understand? There's some guys, and we got to get past them. Those dudes. They've came in second place. And second place again. We just got to get past the GZ guys. That's who we're head to head with right now.
And that's one of the teams that they practice almost every weekend. They got a hell of a program up there, and they practice almost every weekend. And here we are not practicing, but we're still making the semifinals and the finals. So, like I said, it would be scary if we got together a lot.
Speaking of rings,
bam.
Yes. Yes.
That one I've had this one for. Well, I've got a callus on my finger from wearing it for so long. I got that back in what was it?
Huntington Beach, wasn't it?
04
Who had
or 05?
It
was when the do what?
Who showed that necklace the other day?
That was
Ant.
Yeah, that was Mama Call.
I've got one somewhere. I don't know exactly. I don't know where it is, but I got someone.
Got mine too.
We had some guys from Texas, and one of those guys was a jeweler or knew a jeweler, and so everybody on the team got silver smoke chains, and then and then I got the ring, and then Mom got a gold ring of the same type. So it's the square ring with the smoke in it.
Yeah.
Look at Tony. Look at Tony.
Yeah.
Yep.
Virtue t-shirt.
Tony just changing shirts every 5 minutes with a different.
Yeah, you know what? He pinned up all those banners like it's like it started out blank and he just kept on pinning up banner after banner after banner.
There's the Ultra Silk somewhere. There it is.
I just had that on. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm out of this, man. I'm out.
Yeah, where's Caesar at? Man, I thought Caesar was showing up.
Can't forget the old bumped up.
Little Deadly Wins action.
Ultra Silk inside.
Yep.
And we can, we were talking about earlier, Brad, about how lucky we got this year. We were lucky to get hooked up with Brandon from Liquid Paintball. And, that piece just blew up. We were the first team to shoot it. We were the first team to, practice with it. Yeah, there you go. Liquid Paintball. And Brad's been awesome with us. But then our other sponsor, Deadly Wins, all of a sudden, they make barrels, the carbon fiber barrels, which is awesome. All of a sudden they came out with another valve for the, the Planet Eclipse guns. And we're like, holy shit, what do we do now?
Right.
And we kept that kind of under the radar because it was kind of prototypes. We were prototyping it last year.
There's some angry people on the internet that thinks we should take those hair valves and throw them away because shooting fast is ruining the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God! Please don't get me started on that shit. Hold up, boy. This trigger right here.
So we have been lucky this year to be hooked up with a couple of great companies. Yeah, that was the first thing.
I'm just saying.
Floyd's in the house.
So many
what up, Floyd?
Ryan Rowe.
What up, Floyd?
I mean, their argument's over, man. It's such a mute bullshit point. Okay.
Oh, I know. It's just funny.
Make my cock and shoot as fast as I can, but you can't make that gun shoot as fast.
Steven, 4. Yeah,
it's just funny.
It's bullshit.
I know. I just like the troll.
We're promoting is all we're doing. We're promoting our sponsors. We're not trying to ruin paintball. We're not trying to ruin the mech event. That's all we're doing. We're promoting a great product from 2 of our sponsors.
Hey, the thing is you still got to pull the trigger. Yeah. Like no matter what it gets to, you still got to pull the trigger.
here's my 2 cents, if anybody cares. But I've
Absolutely.
actually had an interesting perspective.
Okay.
But I've heard this, and I've talked about it on a couple of the other programs. It's like this. There's a VHS tape of Tim Glavine, Sandman, shooting a stock auto mag at like 13 balls a second. And that was in the 80s. It's on VHS, bro.
And back then, that was like 25 balls a second now. You know? I mean,
but now with the adrenaline or with the adrenaline shockers and whatever, like the fastest was 13.3. I see all the dudes with the Shock Tech gunfighter frames wrapping it in whatever.
Right.
But the whole thing is it's like we're talking about 13, 14 balls a second. We're shooting the guys who can shoot fast. Now, Anthony,
but how long can you do that for?
But Anthony can shoot a gun faster than most dudes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter the technology. He's always going to shoot a little bit faster.
Right.
Well, but now Ant, in that same sense, like that's an acquired skill.
Absolutely.
That's something that he has worked a lot at doing.
He has us all doing bigger exercises to shoot faster. That's how.
Right.
So Ant's a drummer. Okay, so
that's what Brad's saying though. Is you should be able to be rewarded for being able to shoot faster. That's
if
what
you
saying,
shoot faster, you can shoot faster. I mean,
right.
How it is.
Yeah, and the argument that it's trying to bring it back to the space gun race. The space race was not what the person could shoot. That was when the software took over.
Right.
And that's what got us to ramping. It was just like, look, okay, we can't stop this software from adding all these shots and, supposed magnetic gloves and all this, or even us with the OG matrices.
Yep.
Yeah, well, the OG, hold a trigger for 3 seconds, pull it twice, hold it again, and then your gun goes full auto.
Right.
With us, with the OG matrices, you didn't even have to do that. You just had to put a dead battery in it. You put a dead battery in it, and the gun went apeshit. Like it was crazy. But this, no matter what you're doing, you're just making the trigger lighter. But you still have to pull the trigger, no matter how light it gets or whatever. It's still a mechanical. You still have to pull the trigger. The people that can pull their trigger faster, that's an advantage that they get. So,
and I say that the speed limit should be like what they're capped at. I mean, at the NXL, they're capped at 10 balls a second. Right. So if you shoot over 10 balls a second and you're a mech shooter, guess what? You have an advantage.
Yep,
exactly.
Right.
And it's been like this.
Nobody just effortlessly goes 13 balls a second.
Yeah, no.
And it's been like this since the dawn of paintball. Everybody had the I don't know, the 10 grams, but then they came out with the quick change 10 gram, so you can. Right. Then they came out, the auto mags. Danny came out with the bomb 3-way. That was like, I mean, you put a bomb 3-way on, you were shit. I mean, it shot so much faster. And then Bud came out with the swing trigger, and everybody came out with the swing trigger to make it faster.
Well, you had the RT that would shoot the gun for you.
RT, When I worked for Center Flag, we came out with the hyper mag. That was, but I mean, it's been like this since dawn of paintball. It's still mechanical paintball. You're still relying on how fast you shoot.
It's never, ever the gun.
Mark Davis has got it right on the button.
True.
I don't care how fast the gun shoots. It's never, ever the gun. It's the man behind it.
It's not the arrow, it's the archer.
Let's put that all to rest.
That's a good one. I haven't heard that one. That's a good one.
It's
the arrow, it's the archer.
Behind it.
I mean, if you can find a person,
you could give one of these call bros a pump gun, and he's still going to go out and dot your eye. I don't care if you're shooting 30 balls a second. He's going to dot your eye.
True.
Yeah. If you find a person that can shoot 13 to 15 balls a second consistently for 30 seconds in mechanical paintball, he's got a spot on smoke paintball because you can't do it.
Right.
I mean, seriously.
Always rise to the top. It doesn't matter what we put in our hands.
And let's be honest,
you've been sponsored by this sponsor, then you go to this sponsor and you go to this sponsor. You're shooting all kinds of bullshit. Think about it. I mean, come on, Bad Company was shooting those spiders. I watched them wreck.
Yeah, but
Yep.
those weren't regular spiders either, though. Those things were not regular.
Well, the first year they were.
Yeah.
Right. But still, I mean, come on, man. You ain't comparing
Hey,
that to $3,000
speaking,
gas. They would them guys.
Speaking of 50G spider there, ladies. And
Yeah, I
gentlemen.
mean, come on, a $150 gun against a $3,000 piece. I mean, Jason Andre wrecking them in Raven pants with 2 tubes in his butt.
Can't forget JC.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
JC was a beast.
Oh,
yeah, JC was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's still playing somewhere out there.
Yeah, we all know equipment matters, but I'm just saying, man.
Equipment matters as long as it works.
Just like Crouppen, just like the Call Brothers, just like all these guys. They got a super high skill set. I can put any gun in the world in their hands. And right now, today, think about it. These guys go from PE to die. I mean, come on, look at Slowiak. It don't matter what you put in these hands.
Yeah.
They're straight up killers.
Yep. As long as the equipment works.
That's right. And you're going to make it work.
Yeah.
That's what.
But I'm just saying, like, physically, as long as it works. That was like back in the, when we were shooting the carnivores and then into the Black Magics and stuff, the Conqueror was a great platform, but when they electrified them and went to that speeds and we were trying to compete against Intimidators with halos and that kind of stuff, we were running into issues just keeping the guns working because they would just, that's the only issue. As long as the guns work, it doesn't matter.
You guys were in a transition period, Think about it. What guns were morphing through, what you guys went through. Now look at them today. I mean, seriously, guys.
It's crazy.
Out there today in those NXXL, they could go out here and shoot 3,000 rounds and never break a ball.
Not ever, Well, look at the EMEC. The EMEC is $180 gun, and we'll shoot with anything on the market.
But back then, you went through a transition where the reality of it was those guns were nothing like the efficient and soft shooting guns they are today.
Dan was saying that JC plays semi-pro X-ball with. Yes, Dan. I saw him out there, and I think it was Vegas. I just don't know the team name. So Dan put the team name up there.
Danny Dell, the specimen.
Hey, Dan. You son of a bitch.
Ant's internet has more issues than a curfew.
Yeah, he messaged me, said he can't get back on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was the other thing. Not only was it carnivores and Black Magics, but it was eggs and severe paint. Yeah. We were at a disadvantage.
That was it right there, was the hoppers and the paint in those eyes.
God. It was so bad. That severe paint was either a rock or it would shatter from an inch off the ground. We never had good.
If you shot a halo with one of those carnivores with good paint, those things shot much faster than they did with eggs. Period.
Yeah, but it was just eggs. That was just God. It was such a terrible design.
They were just slow as shit.
The lids always broke.
Oh, they always broke, and then the battery door too would always break. Duct tape. You just tape them on.
I always played without even a fucking lid. It's like the whole.
Yeah. The original speed feed.
Right. Just leave that bitch open. Hope it doesn't rain.
Never attached. So it snapped off the second you lifted it up. It was like broke. Those little tabs.
Every event I take all of Smoke's broken hoppers, take it over to Nathan. It's like, boom, here you go. We'll be back after we walk fields. Yeah.
But as bad as the eggs were, I don't think it was as bad as the severe paint was.
No.
That paint was trash. And if it was shooting good, it was that clear and blue striped shell with a neon pink fill that you just saw lasers. Like going up against like Dynasty with that dark blue shell, it was hard to trace where their ball was coming in and everything. And then here we are coming out shooting a neon pink laser beam across the field, and everyone's like, "Oh, wonder where their lanes are at."
Right.
So,
And
but
some people don't even pay attention to that anymore.
I know it's
bananas.
Oh, the banana smell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody went to the bunker, someone the egg didn't feed, and he was.
Yeah, I believe I saw that video as well. Where he was
It happened a lot. It happened a lot.
I honestly, I think there's a solid argument the Revy's better than the egg.
Oh, absolutely. Because the Revy was never going to shoot fast, but it was always going to work and be consistent.
Yeah.
I actually had an XL. What was it? The XL 2000. Remember the really big Revy?
Yeah. What was it? No, speaking of
motors in it,
tank and an XL.
Yeah.
Motor in the front, motor in the back.
Oh my God.
Speaking of original speed feed, remember JT had that Rhino thing that was that they had a thing that would snap on the top of the Revy, and they had specific pods. The pods, they had that weird thing,
and the collar.
Yeah. I've got one of those pods, believe it or not. Yeah, I remember that.
And they had a rubber band around the top, and they would slide in and open.
Yep.
Those
That's
were
for Danny.
What?
No, that's for Danny Del Senor.
When we signed up with Revy, we started using the Revys and the eggs, we were still kind of mechanical, getting into the electronic age, and we were fine using them. But once we got to the matrices, it was over. We had to run. We had to run halos on those, or you couldn't get the true effect of the.
Those halos. Not the halos, but those matrices. God. Best shooting gun I've ever shot.
Do you want to hear a funny story?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm always down for a funny story.
I don't think because it was already talked about on a previous episode, but it had to do with Image.
Yeah,
Image was one of
the only teams that were running the matrices.
Now listen, this is absolutely I had no idea of this, but they basically say that Image broke up largely in part because of being forced to shoot the gun. But at that point in time, the gun was unproven. The gun needed a bunch of work. It wasn't functioning. And I was talking to Turtle about it because it's funny because in that show, I'm like, oh my God, Turtle's part of the Trauma dudes that came out of Image because Trauma wore Image jerseys like their first year. And I didn't know the parallels and all that.
Yeah, with Rob and all those guys. Yeah.
But now I said, Turtle, isn't it kind of funny that over here you're like, this gun, and then you go over to Trauma and it's like, oh my God, this gun is just like the best. Yeah. And it's like that big swing of technology once, because I also was in the camp for the smoking mods when Pat came up with the C4 mod and all that.
The C4 mods and all that stuff. Yeah.
All that stuff. I was 100% with you guys because anytime I would ref you guys at that point because I was done playing, but I was still refing, and I'd shoot your guys' guns and it would be the most consistent over the chrono and just absolute machine guns out on the field, and they were fantastic. I loved mine, and it's interesting how refining it makes a huge difference.
Well, how Pat came about with that bolt was he sent the whole gun to a company that did nothing but airflow.
It was fluid dynamics. It was not. Yeah, it was fluid dynamics.
Fluid dynamics. Yep.
And then they're the ones that did the air test through and everything, and then they came up with that bolt, and then it was like instant. I don't know how many more pods it was, but it was so much.
Well, it was with the C4 mod, it would shoot smoother.
Yes.
And it recycled the air more efficiently, so you got an efficiency gain, but you could shoot it at a lower tank pressure as well.
Yep.
And it just, from a simple drop-in back plug mod, it was fantastic. Fantastic.
So the other thing, the Matrix originally, it was the first spool valve gun that was major to market. And it was originally designed as a mechanical gun. Yep. So the first original designs, back when it still had that weird beehive rag before they had the Trinity mods on the front.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a mechanical gun.
Single trigger mechanical gun.
Yeah, exactly. And then, it was, as the electronics took over, they put the solenoid in it. Once they put the solenoid in it, they had to figure out a way to lower the bolt pressure, which is where originally people were modifying rock regs and stuff from they were putting Cocker regs on the front with a hose that would go out into one of the feed or the side tubes. And then they came out with the Trinity mod that ended up just being a straight replacement for the front plug. And then by the time we were modding it with the C4, and then there was a bunch of other stuff that we were doing. So we were running, so they originally had the first black bolt kit, and then they came out with the red high efficiency bolt kit. And we had a whole mix and match of different parts from the high efficiency kit with the original kit, and then the C4 mods, and then we even put like different spacers. Jesus, Tony's with another costume change.
Yep, it was on too.
Yeah, but we had all kinds of different stuff in there that some of it made it to market, some of it didn't make it to market.
Right,
but God, those things were machine guns.
Yeah, I loved mine.
Jonathan had his little tricks. He can sit here and tell you all night what he did with different sandpaper. He sanded down so much, and then
my gun. And the other thing was a few of us had prototype Crossfire inline regs,
the RDBs,
the Rock the Boobs. Yeah, the RDB regs.
Dude, I had those. I can tell you stories that I don't know if it was supposed to do what it did, but they're
stupid. It's just unbelievable on how good they were. Yeah.
Beast.
But no, my gun, I had the tolerances so tight that it was, when you first aired my gun up, it leaked air out of every orifice that the gun had. And then you'd pull the trigger and everything would seal. I was running, the standard LPR pressure on those was about 75 to 80 PSI. And mine measured around 42 is what I was running my LPR at. So
you could set up the LPR to stop on a ball and not pinch it.
Absolutely.
You just sacrificed gun speed.
Right.
Being able to shoot. But, again, that's one of those things with how well you can tune a gun and get it set up that way.
And that was a lot of hand fitting O-rings and polishing bolt, different parts of the bolt and that kind of stuff to have a gun that I could run at super low LPR, but still manage to have a fast enough bolt speed to where, it would still operate. Stephen Majors has just said that I remember when I got my finger stuck. I remember tuning on a gun on a matrix, and I pulled the trigger, and the solenoid, the pressure was too high, and the solenoid stuck. And
that's how I got my nub, matrix nub. That's what I call it.
Yeah. So the bolt stuck forward because the solenoid didn't reset. The pressure was too high. Yeah, and so the solenoid stuck, and so the bolt stuck forward. Oh shit! Kev still got his.
Yep.
Oh damn! For sure.
Yeah, and so the solenoid stuck, and so the bolt stuck forward. Oh, hold on. Still got his. Yep. Somebody's volume's up, and it's relaying.
That's okay. It might be if we have to jump out, jump back in. Kevin, jump out, jump back in, and it's same link.
Somebody's volume.
Okay, one sec.
Yep. I think it was Kevin's.
Yeah,
it's Kevin. So Brad, there's a video out there. I can't remember who it is, but it's us playing Evil, and you can, when Jonathan gets in the snake, he's like the second person getting in the snake. You can hear how fast his gun is.
Yep.
Brad's reffing that game. I'm almost positive that you're the one that came in and checked Brian whenever he came through.
It's very, I think yes. I think you're right. I think
because it was Atlanta. No, it was Philly, and it was us versus Evil, and I've got it up on my YouTube channel because it was a 720 Dirter video.
Yep.
And I'm almost positive it was you reffing that field because that was the one
versus Evil Factory.
Yep.
And if it was would have been like 04-ish.
Yep. It was when they were showing a different diagram of the people moving on the field.
But I'm almost positive if you go to like about
hang on a
7
second.
minutes into the
Oh
video.
God, shit, son.
What the hell?
Am I there, or are you guys?
No, you're there. We still hear you.
Yeah, you're here.
What up, Paul? You got some crazy ass.
But anyway, so about
You overloaded the system. Did I overload the system?
I think you're good.
Did I overload the system? No. Okay, we're good. We're back.
But about
no,
7 minutes in, you've got a visor on backwards, I believe.
This is actually absolutely hilarious. If this is, I found it. I'm just got to pull it up on the other screen.
Okay.
And then we locked up, and then I was like, oh gosh, what's going on? But here we are.
There it is. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so if you go about 7 minutes into the video, that's when stuff goes haywire.
This is absolutely hilarious.
Okay, back it up a little bit. Okay, from about right. Yeah,
right,
I believe that's you.
I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. That is absolutely hilarious. That's me.
I knew it. Yeah, because Brian comes through and bunkers Tristan.
Yep, that's me. You're right.
Yep, I knew it.
Yep, that's me.
Right there.
Yeah,
Right.
and then I come on the inside and shoot the bat guy out of the can.
Yep.
And then I do Brian real dirty on this one.
Yep. Yeah, because this, I believe
Brian
this
Rhodes?
was the last year.
No, it's Brian Hansen.
Yep.
Oh, Hansen.
Yep. Brian hands this. Hands this.
Yeah. And so a funny story about this game is so you can hear two people you can hear two people on the sideline going nuts right now. And it's C Nasty, which rest in peace, Chris Smith, and my brother. Because Ant had mono and couldn't play this event. So he just walked around with a backpack full of Rolling Rock and got drunk the whole time.
Yep. Absolutely. And it's funny because I was just talking to one of the cameramen of 720 because 720 came from Minnesota.
Okay.
So it's really weird that you remember that you remember that point. But that's funny.
So I ended up finding that DVD like a year and a half ago online and ended up like ripping that and putting it up on YouTube so that game was out. So and being remembered.
We have crossed the 2-hour threshold, and it feels.
I told you it's gonna be a 3-hour
show. and Smokey hasn't even started yet.
I know.
What you want to know? I'm always down.
This is not a love fest. This
Where'd
is a
BBD
love marathon.
BBD was supposed to just jump out and jump right back in, but I don't know where he went.
Yeah,
but, Brad, if you heard that gun when he was in that snake, it was just like a machine gun. It really was.
Yeah. Yep. And it was weird, like that gun, because of the way it functioned, it almost quacked. It didn't sound like a normal Matrix. It had its own sound signature to it and everything because of all the different stuff that I'd put through it.
Yeah, one of my bucket list matrices were the special blend. The special blend ones. I knew that there was only a handful around.
There was 10, I think, is all that there was made of that body. What was it? Old School Paintball Mags just put a picture up on YouTube or on Facebook of Ant shooting his special blend. Yeah. Now, Ant had something that was even rarer than the special blend. So Ant's special blend had a single trigger electronic frame on it.
Yeah. There he is.
Single finger.
Yeah. So Ant had a single finger electronic frame on his special blend, which was super rare. I don't know of another one that existed. So
now, hey, Kevin, I just want to let you know that since you're listening to it in speakerphone or in speaker mode, you have a loop. So on your side,
there you go.
You can do that too. But I was just gonna say you can mute or unmute it on your side. But we're good.
Speaker mode, you have a loop. So on your side, there you go. You can.
Boom! I think he's there.
I think he should have caught up.
Yeah.
BBD.
Yo.
There it is.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Let's get
Yeah,
the
you're good.
history of BBD.
Yes. How did you get involved in paintball?
How did I get involved? For me, I just got out of the military.
Thank you for your service, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Real quick, just so y'all know, BBD, the big black delicious,
Yeah.
the sexual tyrannosaurus, the one-eyed terror of the Midwest.
Was in Afghanistan, right?
Appreciate it.
Iraq, right? You're in Iraq, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's still
We have a delay. It's okay.
So I got started, man. Yeah. I got started after the military. Had to find something to do. So I started playing around Huntington, West Virginia Stingers. Used to play the Crows all the time. Felicity, Ohio, Maysville. But that's about it.
Hey, there
Short
you go.
and sweet, just like you, bro. Short.
Yeah, and then Kev got started with Smoke.
Yeah,
Him
by the
and
way,
a couple guys. Yeah, him and a
John.
guy that stole his name came to the
Yes.
field.
John, you were talking about that Zap Amateur.
Yeah. What about it, Kev?
You were talking about the Zap tournament when we played Tony and those guys, and you said it was just you guys and Garen and Dwan. But
No, I knew Dwan wasn't there.
Shot Pat and got him all pissed off.
Oh yeah, you're
wish he
right.
was
You're
on
right.
here.
Yeah, you're right. But no, so Kev come. So when we had Shiloh Fields there in Southern Ohio, Kev came to the field. It's a weird and funny story, but Kev came to the field with a guy that we ended up knowing as Bones, which was just some random guy that would come to the field. But he ended up, the reason he had the name Bones was he had stolen that name from Kevin when Kevin was back playing with the West Virginia Stingers and stuff. And the dude ended up, like, the whole time he was at the field, ran under this, like, false name and all this weird stuff. Dude was a real weird guy, but it ended up coming out afterwards, like, when we got better friends with Kev, that the guy had stole Kev's, like, whole persona from the old, like, West Virginia Stingers and stuff and was, like, I don't know. It was one of those funny, like, paintball stories from
trying to pass himself off, like, hey, do you know this guy? And it's like, oh yeah, I know this guy, but it's
the problem being is Kevin is the big black delicious, and this dude was a white dude that looked like he had kids chained up in his basement.
Hey, Danny Del Senor, fuck yourself. And Kenny and everybody else that's talking shit on our team thread right now. Fuck you guys. How about that?
So Kev, you wanna enlighten them a little bit more about the Bones? Oh, Kev, your audio's out.
I think it's just bad. I think it's laggy. Oh, his mute was off. Yeah.
Yeah, so it used to come from like the Maysville era. There used to be a guy. Found a guy. They saw a guy. We used to wear the Predator mask. So I used to wear a bone necklace, like a voodoo necklace, and I had the Vent Predator head cap.
Yep.
The T-shirt, and I would tie it to it so it looked like dreadlocks. So that's where the Bones nickname came from the Bones. I had vampire teeth on the front of the Vince Predator mask. So that's where that came from. So I stopped playing for a while. And when I went back to Oak Hill to play up at Shiloh Fields, I guess Brian, this dude had been going up there, so he started wearing the bone necklace, and they all called him Bones. I was like, what the fuck is this? So, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, look who's coming back on.
Oh,
his
internet must have come back up.
No way.
Yeah, we'll see. Oh, there he is.
He deposited another quarter.
Yeah, hopefully my internet doesn't peter out. What up, Big Kev?
He gave the squirrel running on the wheel another nut.
Yep. When Paul comes back, I can take a break and let you guys roll.
Paul's good for a minute.
What's up, man?
Yep.
So BBD, remember in Atlanta when we were bitching at the ref because they stopped the time so quickly?
Yeah.
It was Brad.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I was the ultimate.
Dude.
I didn't do it. I just had to back my referees on it. And you guys were right. My cameraman came up and told me. He's like, at the end, he's like, "Yep, they were right." And I'm like, "Don't say shit. Don't say shit." But it's true.
That was when Ant had to change his
I tried
jersey
to
and
be
everything
so
because he had
composed during
motherfucked the
that
refs so
argument.
bad.
Oh, I know. I felt that was the thing is.
I forgot.
Ant was
I
incognito
thought,
because he had to
post,
change all of his
everything.
clothes and everything because he was afraid he was going to get pulled the next game.
Right.
Yeah, I figured I was going to get like a 4-for-1 or something after that fiasco.
No, I just it's one of those things where he was just so heated and I understood it. Like I completely get it. I didn't know what I knew in the future then. And there really isn't much that I could have done one way or another.
Well, I mean, you couldn't start the game back and everything.
Right.
I mean, at that point, it's done.
Funny because Anthony was just ripping you a new ass. And then Kevin and I were trying to kind of like hold him off. And then Kevin started ripping your ass. So I was trying to hold both of them off.
I was smiling. I loved it. I loved every minute of it because it was my friend back chewing on people like that. Just chewing on them. Arr, 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 arr. The other dudes were scared. They didn't know how to take it. And I'm just like, God, this is normal. This is Wednesday, bro.
This is what it used to be. Like this is every game in paintball back in the day.
Exactly.
If Ant's not yelling at
it's mid-2000s.
Right.
Yep.
I'm bringing Paul in. You guys have a
What
good
up, Creep
time.
Dog?
Well, actually, I'm gonna have to head out because I got to get up and go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. So,
man.
Yeah.
Hey,
Man, fuck you.
guys. It's great to fucking see you, John. Now we need to see you on the field, sir, when we get a
dude,
chance.
and hey, I was all about it until this damn virus took over.
No, I
so
know. I'm just saying, this is a step number one, my brother.
Yep.
Step one.
So, yep, the boy's a year old, and so he's here and he's made it through the first year. So now I can get back into it. So
that's awesome. Congrats on that once again.
Yeah, he just hit a year on the 8th. So, and best Ant call quote of all time. It's not my fault. I shoot fast. I got a big dick.
No,
I'm built to win.
And that ref didn't even laugh either. That was the fucking funniest part. You know,
I got a big dick and I shoot real fast. I'm built to win.
Yeah, that's what I told him.
He still pulled you off.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he took my gun to the head ref or whatever in Chicago.
Yeah, you didn't get pulled.
And then the head ref brought the gun back and gave it to me. I was like, man, anybody wouldn't laugh at that would suck a dick. And he's like, that guy probably would.
Motherfuckers are crazy.
Who was it, Danny? Danny, and who else was on the sideline just laughing their ass off at it? And Danny.
I could hear Rocky. I heard Rocky because everybody knows Rocky's laugh. I heard him like falling on the ground laughing. Yeah, right after I said it. There's a bunch on the sidelines there.
I'm built to win.
Built to win, bud.
Oh, Jesus.
But right on, y'all. Well, y'all have a good one and enjoy the rest of it. I'm out.
All right,
John.
Peace, bro.
All right, later, y'all. Smoke another.
See you, dude.
Thanks for joining us on this holiday, BBD.
Yes, happy holidays, Cav. Big Cav, we know how much you appreciate this day, sir. Not.
Me and Kevin's the only straight laced on the team, I think.
No, Anthony.
Nah, yeah, man.
Anthony.
Hey, me.
Right. That's what I just said, fool.
Oh, yeah.
I'll puff one for you, Smoke.
Hey, I appreciate it, brother.
I don't know. I don't think I'm straight laced. I'm just not as wild as these fuckers.
Yeah.
Hey, all natural for me. I don't even drink. It's all natural for this guy. Sorry.
And where did Smoke come from? How did Smoke come about? The name Smoke.
Okay, that's a we were Brimstone's factory team. Brimstone owned Ultimate Air and Smoking clothing and stuff. You know, and that's back when everybody had factory teams and all that. So that's what we was Brimstone.
Travis.
And then we started. I can't really remember when, but you know, like the team name was Smoke, so that's why it was Brimstone Smoke and all that. And then that's why we got back. You know, after Ultimate Airball and all that stuff isn't around anymore, so that's why we're just Team Smoke now.
How did the name Smoke come about, though?
You know, and I think the name Smoke.
Because I was a fucking stoner.
I think Smoke came around when we went.
It flowed well.
I think it came about because we switched
we was all stoners
and went to another level. So we started off as Brimstone Factory Team.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right, Kev. Yeah, when we turned pro, that's when we was Smoke. Yeah, right?
No.
I think.
No, because when we joined, when we came from Center Flag and Thunderstruck, it was Smoke.
No, but what I'm saying is,
the original.
No, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, Tony. We had just, that was the time when we were switching to the 10-man amateur.
Right.
So we were moving to a bigger stage. Before that, we were playing.
Oh, okay.
we
We'd all.
just had the 5-mans and stuff. That's what it was. Yeah.
That Zap Am was the first time we had played a big 10-man tournament, and we put that team together.
Yep. Yeah. We won't talk.
Yeah,
about
that's when
that.
it was. Yeah.
Let's skip that tournament and keep on going.
Yeah.
Fucking shot you. I don't know how many times.
Yeah. Hey, I tore my shoulder muscle under my shoulder blade.
Yeah.
Completely in half. It took. Actually, I still have problems with it. Sometimes I'll pull it and everything, but man, it took years to heal.
But
I still stayed in there, still knocking hits off.
I'll tell you this: Smoke didn't come from the players. I think Smoke is attributed all to Milt Call.
Yeah.
And I can still remember Milt. He'd be like, "Well, what do you think of this? Brimstone Smoke."
I don't know.
Brad, you couldn't ask for two of the greatest supporters of a team was Milt and Mama Call. Those two were the best supporters of any paintball team ever. I don't care what team's out there. Those two loved Team Smoke. They did anything for us. Anything we needed, they got. Mama Call, if she wasn't yelling at you on the field or yelling at the other team on the field or yelling at the refs, something was wrong because, man, she got into the games and it was awesome. We go have those practices at the farm, and she'd cook her freaking famous lasagna, and big old spread. And I mean, it was the best experience ever. And that's why a lot of us are still Team Smoke because it's a family,
Right.
I mean,
and it's one of those things where I've discussed before about like common threads and things that bind us together. But I met Milt at, I believe, Anthony and I talked about this, what was the first unveiling of the product at a local to me 3-man that was held at a fairgrounds in Anoka County, Minnesota. And I believe that I saw you guys playing before and knew of you, but you came out and it was you, your brother, and your dad. And, we had the tournament there. And that was like when I really got to know these guys.
Craig Miller was with us too.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep. Craig Miller was there too.
Craig and that Mall was there and stuff. Yeah. That was, I think, a 19.5-hour drive, something like that. It was a good one.
But it was one of those things where it was, life-changing for me because I got to know the family and then every time subsequently would sit and talk with them. So again, I agree with you on the family perspective of it.
Yeah.
I want to add to that real quick because earlier you asked me what got me into paintball. And like I said, myself just messing around got me into paintball. But what got me into a different level of paintball was definitely Milt and the Call family.
Yep.
I think that is one of the things that's made this team exactly what it is now. Everybody that's here that we played before, you don't forget. So when they came back after a while, it was just like being at home again.
Yep.
Right.
That family culture is deep within the team. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Just like brothers, we fight. We argue, complain at each other, whatever. But I think that is at the underlying current of the team that makes it what it is.
Yeah.
So,
and I think Jeff Krupa said it best when he was on my podcast is when we came back, there was no other team to go play for, but besides Team Smoke, that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at our roster now and you look at our roster 20 years ago, you're going to find
Welcome,
a lot.
Frank.
Yeah. Hey, Frank. But you're going to find a lot of the same players. You know, a lot of players didn't leave to go play on other teams. They stayed with Team Smoke and played their time in paintball and Team Smoke. And I think that's what makes us different from everybody else is we're a big family, either on or off the paintball field. We're a family, and that's that's what makes us special.
Absolutely. Now, Smokey, just because you've been like in this Zen master mood, I know that you've got to have something that you want to contribute to this conversation that's just burning a hole.
Like Tristan,
He does.
Tristan left to go play with
Infamous,
and then a lot of teams like that, and
nobody's fucking listening.
Guys, I'm going to bounce. I think I'm causing issues with the sound or whatever, but
no, you're good.
You're good, bro.
I'm getting some replay or whatever going on.
Oh.
No.
You guys are driving me nuts. I feel like I'm smoking with crew.
I mean, I might as well.
Where's Brock in here? Where's Brock at? Danny D.
Danny
I love Kev.
All right, fellas. Hey, y'all be easy, man.
Love you, brother.
Get upstairs.
All right, Croup, and now you can go.
What do you fuck want me to say? I've been contributing, but then I just get what you want to know? What you want to know? what kind of contribution do you want from me?
Oh, look at this! Now we're getting even getting more intimate now.
Yes.
You know what? We got to hear what he's got to say. He needs to speak up. He needs to say it right now.
Yeah.
Speak the peace, man.
No, what's your opinion on like here's a great question for you. On the highest level of the classics, some of the teams are complaining that more of the pro players are coming in. Okay? That's what it is. But now Tony talked about it earlier where you played a Cap Factory team where in Chicago, when I was sitting there filming, I was interviewing people and I said, who's going to win? They had two answers. Before a ball was shot, they had two answers. The first one was whoever was on their shirt, and then it was Cap Factory. Okay, just because of how stacked it was. And they didn't even make it into the semifinals. So they didn't make it out of the prelims.
Right.
Now, people don't care about my opinion, but anybody 2.5 hours deep in this podcast at least will humor me with this one. I don't think it matters how many current pros you have on a team. 10-man ball is a completely different animal, and unless you know how to play that 10-man and are wrapped around it, it doesn't matter who you put on that field. Am I correct or not? That's your opinion.
100%. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can have 10 superstars or 5 superstars in X-Ball, and it doesn't work. It doesn't matter if it's 5 or 10. You've got to have the right people playing. It doesn't, like I said, Cap in Chicago, they had Mouse, they had Moorhead, Montresor, Baines, Matty was playing. I mean, everyone that's consistently playing pro right now. So that doesn't, that means nothing. If you're not on the same page with communications and making moves, and everyone wants to be rock stars and run down the field, you're going to get chopped up. And that's what happened that game. I mean, they just all got up the field and just tried to run it down the field, and we just chopped them up and then just ran down and closed the game. I mean, that's blank. That's what happened. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Yeah. If you can't step up against the so-called best, you shouldn't be playing at that level. And that's my opinion. Same like the finals. If you're not ready to go, it doesn't matter. That should be when you step up and play your fucking best paintball is when it matters the most. And if you can't do that, then it's great to play, but you shouldn't be at these events trying to win them. And that's just my philosophy.
And you know what? That's such an excellent point. I think he took a hammer and he smacked like 5 nails. Think about that, man. You know, we can respect other guys. We can think they're pretty good. But you know what? At the end, if we think, man, I pull my pants on the same way they do, I can blow their head off. I can split their wig. That's the whole difference right there. And that's what he's talking about. You don't walk out there intimidated, like thinking, man, I'm going to lose this match. These guys are great. You know what? You walk out there and you go, I'm as good as they are. I can shoot them. I can do every single they can do. And guess what? I might even be able to do it a little bit better. And that's what Crouppen does. That's what Tony does. That's what these guys do. That's why their skill set's so high.
Well, I think here's what I think that the NXL athletes are athletes. I really do. I mean, they have to be athletes to play what they play.
Right.
But there's some of those kids that play pro in NXL have never stepped into woods before and played.
True.
My Florida guys here, I don't, that I brought on to Team Smoke, I don't think they've ever played woods before I brought them on. And now they're playing on Brimstone. I mean, Jake Taylor, one of the Florida guys that I brought on in Chicago, the first thing he said after the first game was, I've never ran so far to a bunker in my life, and he's like 20 some years old and he's never played in the woods before. So yeah, I mean, mad respect for the NXL guys because they work their ass off, but they have to,
It's a different game.
But it's a different game,
Yep.
And I've played, 3-man, 5-man, 10-man, 7-man, X-ball, and then now back to 10-man. So I've got it all. Some of those, like I said, they've never played 10-man. They never played on a woods ball or a hyperball field. The only thing they know is airball, X-ball field.
Yep. Now, just to interject here, there's a question here, and I think if he's asking this question, he's probably not a tournament player all the time. But Johnny asked, do field layouts change, or are they the same every time? It depends on the field. If it's a natural field like a woods ball field, but then there's other fields that are man-made that they can make small adjustments to from an event to another event that keep it change enough as well, kind of like some of the Florida events.
Right.
So I appreciate your question.
Yeah, and then I think that's the great thing about the woods and the mound. I mean, mounds is hard to change from year to year, but they did at ICC. They totally ripped out the old mounds field and put a new mounds field in the last 2 years. We played it. But
they just let the grass grow up real tall. It didn't.
Yeah. But Tom Cole, I'll give him credit. I play at Central Florida Paintball a lot, for the 5-man X-ball series down here, and that's all it was down here in Florida was X-ball. That's all you can never go play mech anywhere.
Right.
Until the last year and a half now that ICPL has been here. But he took a field that, hasn't played woods ball field in, probably 10 years. They've all they have is X-ball fields out there, the airball fields. And he created something pretty good. Now you see a lot of X-ball fields out there. There's bag peg guys play out there a lot. But he changed the fields from the October ICPL till this January ICPL. They were totally different. He changed the hyperball fields, he changed the hybrid field, and he changed the woods ball field. The woods ball field was totally different than what was in October. In October, you couldn't even see. I mean,
no, it was thick. It was really thick. Yep.
But yeah, he changed it up. I actually helped him. I went there a day earlier, and I was like, "Hey, I think him and I were out there building bunkers together." Tom Cole was actually working on the fields, and I give him credit. He did a hell of a job for that field.
Right.
And then Rico's the same way. Rico created a couple different fields just to bring the 10-man, into Florida. And Rico's done a hell of a job. He's got a hell of a field over there. If you never played his event or played at his fields, his mounds field is awesome.
Right.
He's made changes to his
Pac-Man field.
The Pac-Man field, yeah. And Rico really caters to the Florida paintball scene. He takes care of Smoke every time we go there. It's awesome. We just practiced there a couple weeks before. It was supposed to be his last tournament, but it didn't because of the virus. But he takes care of the people in here, and he really cares about it. And you can see in his fields because his fields are top notch. And it's just awesome seeing mechanical paintball come back to Florida, which was non-existent because it was all X-ball down here.
We just need to get out there and play some fucking paintball, period. This shit is ridiculous now.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
And I saw Frank's comment. I mean, I agree and I don't agree. I've been trying to get Keith Brown. I trained Keith Brown since he was 13 years old. He played at my field here in Florida. I had a field called Epic Paintball. He started at my field when he was 13 years old. I trained him. I've been trying to get him to play with us for years, but yeah, I think the NXL guys that never played 10 man should come play 10 man because it's a blast. It really is. You don't go play your 2 games and go back to the hotel and you're there all day long hanging out with guys you've seen 20 years ago, and it's a blast. I mean, it's fun. You see smiles on everybody's face. Go to an NXL event and see how many it's a totally different.
And I agree wholeheartedly because the Vegas event was my first event back in a long time at a national event that wasn't a classic event.
Right.
What?
You did very well, sir.
Oh.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. But like I tell my guys, because they're like, well, what's the difference? I'm like, it's pretty much like a family reunion of only people who you want to see. And then sometimes people that you don't want to see, but you get to shoot them because you're there all day. And they're like, you're there all day? I'm like, yeah, you're there all day. Because exactly in Vegas, we would go for our block, play our block, and then get out. You wouldn't talk to other teams.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do any of that. In the classics, you're there all day, you're drinking, you're eating barbecue, whatever. It's a family atmosphere.
I never shook so many hands or hugged so many people, in Atlanta and then at ICC. It's crazy. I mean, especially ICC, you see everybody there, and it's, I mean, for event to sell out in what did it sell out this year in a couple minutes, right? 5 or 7 minutes, something like that. I mean, 70 some teams. I mean, that's crazy.
Do you guys think it's going to go down?
Yes.
Yes.
You think we're on schedule?
Yeah, I do.
The only thing that's going to be if you're talking about like tinfoil conspiracy hats, I think it's only going to be hard to get in from out of the country. So if there's any teams that were registered from outside, because like I talk to Marcus Davis quite often on the show, and like they won't even insure you to fly over.
Right.
So he's like, that's going to be a year or so right there.
Yeah, you can't lose that money.
Right. Kevin Donaldson is still convinced because Jerry Braun is lobbying Congress or state representatives to even hold the event still. Now it's going to be a regional event, and they understand that. But teams, of course, that can fly in will fly in. But as far as a few days ago, it's still a go. And again, he understands that it's suffering, but I think it's more or less we got to fight through it. And Kevin's that kind of guy.
You're talking about for the New York?
Yep.
Yeah, the Woods World Cup Woods Ball.
Yeah, where it's supposed to be like in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, who wants to go to New York right now? I mean,
right. And but now that's the thing is he just said, if it's a regional thing, it's a regional thing. He understands it all, but he wants to keep it. He wants to have, like social distancing with your staging areas. And like the fields by me just opened up. I mean, there was snow on the ground last week, but a field opened up this weekend. So I think that people are just sick of being cooped up and want to get out. And, one of 2 things is going to happen: nothing or something.
I try to think about like the number one point of contact during these times. And I don't know. I think we could all probably agree. Doesn't it happen at the air station? Wouldn't that be the number one spot where we'd all touch the same thing? I mean, because even in the box, to start off the box, we could be far enough apart to potentially meet their requirements if we really got spread out on the box.
It's just your team dudes. It's really.
But when you're touching the airfill station, all the fields I go to, we all walk up and we just put our tank, we put the hose on, and we hit the same lever. So every single one of us is touching that lever. Where else do we have that same point of contact at a field?
Nowhere.
Am I missing something?
And the only thing they're going to combat that is just have a person stationed at the station filling your tanks for you. I mean,
that's even a better idea than I said.
Touching everything where you just walk up. But still, at that point in time, you would probably break that 6-foot rule unless the hose was really long.
Yeah.
But still, I like that idea, Tony. You're right. That
I mean, that's the only way to do it.
Solution. That's the really big point I saw at the fields would be that. The fill stations. I really don't know where else it would be, because if you got a season pass or you could sign in, you know, they could keep your social distancing there, but at the fill station, that was been my big deal.
And I think ICC is really going to be the first major tournament that's going to happen. I really do. You're going to have some small stuff go on, you know.
Yes.
I know the Top Gun tournament, the 7-man tournament.
Ooh.
That's in June, right?
You guys I'm sorry, after you finish your thought,
But that's in June. But I think the first major one, even out of NXL and everything, I think ICC will be the next one. And you'll probably see a lot of rusty play, maybe, because there's probably not a lot of teams that are going to get to practice much going into that. But I think that's going to be the next major tournament you'll see.
Thank you, Junior. Thank you.
Yeah, Junior.
Yep. Now, the Rob's 5-man at Fox River.
Oh
yeah. I think we're going to have a team. The Brimstone guys are going to go that, because the St. Louis guys are going to go to it.
Hey.
Hey.
That's all I'm saying. No. Good. Yeah. I heard, I was talking to him about that, because it's a 5-man that's close to me and makes sense. And
that used to be my home field when I played with Swarm and Fox. Yeah.
Exactly. So when he said that you guys were fielding a team, and I think Nick is bringing a team, and there's a bunch of other be Destiny teams. I'm trying to get a team of my guys out there as well, which will be a blast, just because I don't think many of them have played in the woods. But again, it's one of those things that you want your players to be well-rounded. And I believe that playing good hyperball, good woods ball teaches great skills that airball doesn't necessarily teach.
When I had my store in my field here in Florida, we had a epic factory team, and I had Keith Brown on it, and Matty Fresh, who plays with us now. We were on it, and at the end of the day, I would take them into the woods. Finish the day off in the woods. It gives them a different perspective, gives them a different view of it. And I agree. I think the pros that never played woods ball or mounds or hyperball should go play. They come play it. You're going to see what the different view is, and what we all hype about, and why the mechanical movement has grown so huge in 2 years. I mean, it's huge.
And there's so many veteran players that are in their 40s, in their 50s, and playing with Dynasty and all of those guys, and they're perfectly blended, and they're winning tournaments. You know what I mean? It's
Dynasty. Most of those guys played in the woods.
Right.
The Iron Kids, the very first time Ryan Greenspan, Iron Kids in Chicago in the woods.
For
real,
But
Rodney, Glenn,
that's where it
all those guys.
Everybody that played before airball and hyperball had to play in the woods. There was nothing else.
Right.
Yeah. That's why X Factor won ICC a couple years ago, because those guys grew up, and a lot of those kids, when they came out, they
won last year. And X Factor won the year before.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So
you know what? I don't know about you guys, but there's so many times I get so sick and fucking tired of all this bullshit talk about the GOATs or who's the best, or when they played this style of ball or they played that style of ball. You know what? You know what all that is? That's all false equivalence. We're talking about different eras, different equipment, different skill sets in a different environment.
Right.
You can't take what Oliver Lane raised up in and equate that to what Todd Adamson raised up in the woods. That's a false equivalence. Yeah. And I'm just going to say this again. And no disrespect, I love Ollie Lane. The guy's a phenom. He's a phenomenal. But guess what? Todd Adamson won events before he ever played. Todd Adamson won.
He's back.
So, real quick, I forgot I had to run to work and tear down one of my machines at the lab. So I'm like at work right now, tearing the machine down. And I was like,
the mad scientist.
I'll jump back in.
Yep, absolutely. Can't get enough.
I was on a rant.
So, Paul, do that. Speaking of Jonathan, I was just going to say this. Jonathan and Anthony, I've watched those kids since they were 16, 17 years old. I think those two kids had more talent than anybody in paintball. And if they would have bucked, if they would have got really sick. I know. I'm trying to. Seriously, I've seen those kids play, and I seriously, they should have been the next. They should have been the next Oliver Lane. They should have been the next Ryan Greenspan. They should have been the next, anybody. And they did. They played awesome, but Anthony went his way, Jonathan went his way, and it's a shame to see it, but it's glad to see them back and having their talent back, because those two kids have so much talent.
It's not great. About any disrespect towards anybody, and it's all about propping everybody up. And you know what? That's all I've ever heard about Anthony and John both. Yeah. There's a depth skill set there that just has to be acknowledged.
There's a lot of times
everybody props, everybody's phenomenal. Yeah. I'm just saying, there's a longevity thing to the game, and there's a start, and there's a finish, there's a beginning, and if you can be a flash in the pan, you can be a one-night stand, you can come in and make that one-night song, or you can fucking make records from the beginning of your career to the end of your career. Yeah. And we all know the difference. There's the Aerosmiths, and there's
ZZ Top with that fucking beard, bro.
Whatever. Man, I like ZZ Top, man. Don't be dogging on ZZ Top.
That's where I got my inspiration from.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
But
props to everybody. Everybody's got their own game. But let's just stop making these false equivalents. Let's stop trying to equate the player from this generation with this gear and this mindset to this. It's all different, man. Let's just all give it all respect. Let's just try to break it down into each thing and stop saying, there's certain guy out there today, every single day he wants to make this comparison. Who's the best between this? Who's the best?
Can I expound on that for a second? And then I'll let you smoke.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
No, here's the thing that confuses me, and I'm going to follow up with you, Smokey, because I'm talking about this. But it's like the Hall of Fame. Okay, like if you're a Hall of Fame football player from 20 years ago, 50 years ago, you're not expected to compete on the same level, the same rules, the same anything. You're honored, you're respected because you were top in your era. You follow me what I'm saying? But now it seems that you can be irrelevant because you're not a good X-ball player. I don't agree with that. I believe that it ties more into what you're saying, Paul, about you're comparing apples and oranges, where if a dude like Todd is good in the woods, good wherever, good for 30, 40 fucking years, he's not a flash in the pan. No. I agree that anybody would be a better team for having him. He's transcended teams. He can go wherever he wants. I mean, it would be hard for me to disagree with you, but I'll just mute John while he's apparently blowing something up.
But just recognize
it's a water faucet. Sorry.
Rennick Miller agrees with me. Rennick Miller is also another guy. He's the very first one that'll tell you Todd Adamson's the GOAT.
Yep. Smokey, go ahead.
Tell you that.
I just think, we've all played X-ball and airball and all that stuff back in the day. And it's the same thing. You can't really – it's not saying comparing apples to oranges, because I'm not as fast as I was when I was playing 4 or 5 times a week back then playing X-Ball, but I'll go out and play X-Ball now using my mechanical gun, and I'll do the same thing as what my limit can be, and I'll go against electronic guns all day long just to get my gun skills up and my moving and stuff like that. So it doesn't really matter. If you can play the game, you should be able to play it. Now, people are going to excel at different things, but it's a sport of aggression and instinct, which a lot of that shit you can't teach. You can't teach somebody when it's right time to make a move or when it, and the stuff like that. You have a lot of that's instinct. And if you never had it, you never will, no matter how much you play or no matter how much you practice. And it doesn't matter what format you're playing on. If you don't have instinct, you're not going to do that good. If you don't have the right aggression, stuff like that, it's just not going to work. So, I mean,
I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with that very thing with one of the guys on my team right now. So it doesn't matter the era.
Guys that try.
You're going to excel in certain things. You're not going to be somebody's not going to be as good on airball as they are on hyperball or whatever. But
I think NXL is a lot of individual talent versus 10-man team talent.
For sure. Sure, but you still have to have gun skills and all that. So it's just a different way to apply. As long as you can change it based on what you're playing, you should still do good. Period.
Right. Because I don't think ideally in an NXL setup, like how I'm learning these guys, I have guys that can play any side of the field, whether it's snake side or D side. They can play any side of the field. Now, if I'm playing 10-man, I'm game planning with 3 or 4 dudes, 2 or 3 dudes in a section or a side, and I'm not flip flopping. I mean, you run with your set the way that you have it.
But so that even in X-Ball, don't you still? You mainly have your 1 or 2 guys that are going to run the snake, and then you got your D
no. That's that. The whole thing is yes. Conventional wisdom is yes. Everyone else, and that's what's different about these guys. These guys that I'm coaching is that they are as good. I have dudes that are as good on the left as they are on the right. And like I tell them, I need them to be all around good players as opposed to specialists. Like a dude just saying, well, I'm a snake guy. I mean, you can't play in the middle. You can't play over here for me. You just want to play in the snake.
When I think of snake guy, I think of usually the shortest, fastest dude that's going to make a shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But there's tall guys that can play it too. It's
absolutely like Christian Collins. Christian is a very, very tall,
real tall,
large. Oh, what's the dude for ML Kings? The French guy. That dude's like 6'7". Yeah, 6'7", and he gets up in there.
Christian's about 6'5", 6'4". He's a big dude too.
Right. And see now again, it's in Mouse. Yep, Kevin's talking about Mouse. Mouse is a big statured guy. Kevin's got or Christian's got I think like 4 or 5 inches on Mouse.
Definitely taller than Mouse.
But again, in the 10-man, it's acceptable to be that size. Even in airball, you can be that size. But again, you can't teach height and speed. I've got tiny little tiny little speedsters that just can run and run. And again, it's one of those things. It's the same game, but it just has different skill sets.
Exactly, 100%.
And you share and you can overlap those skill sets between the 2 games. Because like for me to compete, I have to crawl. Some dudes don't expect crawling lanes, but there's crawling lanes on X-ball fields, and I'll crawl up to move from bunker to bunker because of it. Again, it's just a thing.
The ones I don't like about the X-ball now is practicing bounce shots and shit.
Right.
I know they took away coaching and all that. That's great because coaching is what drove a lot of people away because that pretty much sucked. But now it's like you practice so much that you practice bounce shots. If I have to practice bouncing a fucking ball,
but you know what, Jeff? They're setting the fields up. They're setting the fields up intentionally to allow those shots. And those shots are a critical part of the game nowadays. I mean, we've all watched kill after kill after kill from those bounce shots. Yeah. And they're setting the fields up, and those they're you know what? I got to give props to the players that find those shots. We're standing out there with guns. taken 1,000 shots off a bunker to find those. But you know what? Guess where they don't work? That's not working in hyperball. That's not working in woods ball. That's not working in what we're doing. But
Right.
XL, that shit's working, bro.
Yeah. You know what? I seen Danny Love back in the day shoot up in the trees.
Yes.
And
I was going to
balls
say
come
the
down.
same thing.
Dude,
Yeah.
Balls come down. And
I'm telling you right now, I used to shoot.
that was the bounce shot back then.
Yep.
I used to shoot the fence. I would take the fence. I would shoot like the netting. I'd shoot the netting and bounce off the netting to get the back.
I would too.
Bunker.
Yeah.
And I also, you know what else I used to do? I used to shoot the left side of my bunker or the right side intentionally to catch the ball to put
to get the curve, to put the curve on it.
Come around the bunker. I used to do that shit all the time. So you know what? None of this shit's a surprise to me. And you know what? We're going to use every fucking bit of that.
Well, the Trauma Head just released a video recently on YouTube, and it was Static and GZ Silver. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but the game starts off, and one of the Static guys and one of the GZ Silver guys both go to the left side of the big demon mouth, the old Diablo demon mouth.
Oh, are you talking about the guy looking?
He looks underneath of the wedge, and he shoots the guy in the foot from underneath. Like, you know, that shouldn't have been a case, but hey.
Guy was posted waiting for him to come around.
Exactly, and he looked underneath and caught it, and he shot the guy in the foot from underneath the bunker.
Come on, you got to. If you're not paying attention to overinflated bunkers, you're not.
Oh, absolutely.
Hold up.
You're not playing the game.
That's apples to oranges because what we're talking about is stuff that you've had to find at the field when you got there.
I get that.
Yeah. Now, when you're going to a field to shoot 1,000 rounds into a bunker and to see if it's going to ricochet to shoot somebody from behind that bunker is not fucking. That's just not skill to me. To be able to do it, to find somebody to, all this is what you got to do to shoot that shit. But I don't want to practice that if I'm going to practice. If you,
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
But you also
that doesn't fit. That may not fit with what we're doing, but for NXL.
No, for sure.
NXL, I mean, that's just reality, dude.
It's one of those. It's kind of like,
you're not always the one that's finding that shot, brah. Somebody else is finding the shot, and you're going, "Oh my god, look at all that fucking paint! This motherfucker's doing that." We're scouting them, and we see it.
I get it. I'm just saying, me personally, I just don't like it, and I wouldn't want to practice that shit myself. Personally.
Hey, you know what? If I can fucking put paint on somebody, I don't give a fuck if I blow it out with a fart. I want paint on them bigger than the size of a quarter. I don't give a fuck how you can do it. If we can fucking send through a hyperball field, we find that one fucking hole where Weasel's hiding in there for fucking 35 minutes. I mean, I'm just saying.
Now that's the difference, though. That's something you find when you get to the field, and you
right, and that brings down the whole point of them releasing the fields beforehand.
Right.
We don't have that advantage, baby.
That's my point. No. That's my point. Is we find that when we get there, based on how good we do our jobs, we're walking the field, finding those holes, finding those spots. You don't practice that shit.
You know what, Crouppen? Hey, and you know what, Crouppen? I bet you fucking a dime to $1. I bet you're the first one to fucking find them.
I do my part. I try.
That's what I'm screaming.
# beast mode.
I'm telling you, man. Croupen's a straight up fucking serial killer.
Yeah, I agree.
All that shit. He's the one who finds those holes. He's the one who finds those shots. He's the one who delivers those kills.
Yep.
I mean, that's his history. That's his legacy, man.
Appreciate that shit.
No, man, it ain't me. That's just a fact. Crouppen, you're a killer, dude. Everybody knows it.
OG triple OG OG triple.
Oh shit! Thank you. I'm just happy to be back healthy enough to do my part, man, and bring this team back to the fucking top. That's all there is to it. Family.
It's a lot of fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun along the way.
Whatever it takes.
Yep, that's the most important thing. Is recovering this season. Something has to happen positive this season that brings everybody together. Right now, it seems to be the ICC, which has the greatest probability of happening in being that large event that people need to get back.
Oh, I can't wait, man.
What's the deal with I see Kevin talking about it, but I haven't really found a lot of information about it, but like the whole Woods Bowl World Cup, like where's that taking place and when is that and all that?
Jerry's Field in New York.
Okay.
And
May
it's supposed
17th, 18th, right? Isn't that what Cole Jr. said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
17th, 18th.
May 17th and 18th?
Yeah.
That's my birthday, May 18th.
What? When's your birthday?
May 18th.
I'm May 16th.
Right on.
We're Taurus the Bull.
Yeah, exactly.
Rock
Strong
on.
like bull.
So, Brad, do you think they'll ever get to NXL where they won't put out the field?
No.
No.
You don't think so?
No, because the other fields depend on teams scrimmaging that format for the 2 weekends before. I mean, now that's the crazy thing is now at this level, they're flying. I mean, we flew down to Texas to scrimmage 2 weekends before, and then we scrimmaged another. And I mean, X Factor was there, Infamous was there, and then somebody else that I know I'm
so we the ICC or the events for 20 years we showed up to. We'd show up on a Thursday, we'd walk those fields. Maybe we'd show up Thursday night, we'd walk those fields on Friday. We'd play them on Saturday and Sunday.
Last weekend in May for the Woods Bowl World Cup.
That's what Mike is saying.
Right.
Mike is saying,
That's what I'm screaming. I'm just saying, you know what? We can set up a basketball play or we can set up a football play. We all know what hole they're going to run through, or we know what all pick and roll they're going to play. And
right.
Guess what? The best defense we can come up with in the world, they can still run that play on us. And we've seen that happen time and time again.
Yeah.
So, the reality of it is it's who can execute the best. Who snaps that shot? Who gets that kill off the break? Who pushes and makes that bunker, makes that bump when they need to make it?
Yep.
Who goes left? Who goes left? Who head checks right? Make sure they're clear. Goes left. All these things fall into place equals wins after wins. So, you know what? We're all on the same page. We're all behind the ball. This COVID's put a big delay on everything. But you know what? Everybody's being subjected to the same exact thing. And this is what I'll say about Smoke. These guys have got a skill set where they can show up because they know how to ride a bike. They're going to show up, and it's going to take them about 15 minutes to get warmed up, and they're going to be on.
Right. It's true.
That's the difference. That's the difference between winning and losing. And there's a lot of teams that don't have that.
Right.
And I don't even know these guys like 1,000%, but I think the proof's in the pudding. They've already shown us what they are.
What? Right. You already know what to expect. It's a matter of finding the appropriate combination to make everything work. Now, here's where I'm going to start you guys. I have to go take care of my daughter for a minute, and then I will be back. But what I want to do is give John an opportunity to thank people. It doesn't necessarily have to be sponsors. I just don't know how long you have left with us.
Not very long. I'm about to close down. And real quick, just to give you guys something funny about this place that I work at.
No, boy.
It's really weird when you walk into a 1980s circa cardboard paper box that says depleted uranium on it.
That's interesting. I see
that. Working outside of the national lab.
You're radioactive.
Yeah. So Tony, you can lead this until I come back. I'll be back in just a minute.
Well, Jonathan, go ahead since you got to be.
Yeah. So I'm just shutting stuff down. So as far as thinking stuff, you go back to it outside of, my parents who started the paintball field and really kind of got us started. Outside of that, honestly, I got to thank Tony, you and Pat, because you all taught me and Ant really how to actually not just, not play paintball, but how to take it to the next level. Because if it wasn't for you two coming in and playing with Smoke and teaching us the true part of Tin Man and stuff, who knows what the hell we would have been. We may not have ever gotten off the farm. And then, obviously sponsors throughout the years, it's the only way that we were able to do it. But all the different members of Smoke that have come through, whether it was somebody that just played for an event or somebody that became family, without all of everybody from the team, I wouldn't have been the player that I became, and the team wouldn't have had this storied career that we had. So every person that's come in and been a part of the squad and become a part of the family has played their part in creating what we have. And, whether or not we're remembered 100 years from now and this game still exists, right now people know who we are, and that's because of all the different people that have come in and placed their part in the family. So that's my little piece.
Nice. Group.
I mean, obviously sponsors. I want to thank the team. Big shout out to Travis Brock here from St. Louis. He got me back in hardcore, committed again, after I was hurt and stuff. So, but like I said, I wouldn't have thought about coming back to another team. Shout out to my kid. She just graduated with her RN, BSN, starting to work at Barnes Hospital here in St. Louis in the trauma unit in June. So I'm real proud of that.
It's 11 o'clock.
My homegirl, I got a lot of support, and being able to play again has just been amazing. So I just want to thank you guys, Tony, for keeping it all together on a lot of that stuff. Now we got Paul in here that hopefully will take care of a lot of that stuff off the field. So like I said, we can just get out there and do what we do and just kill and start taking that first. I'm done with this second and third place shit. It's time to start winning again. And same thing like Jonathan said, without our sponsors, we couldn't do it. So, JT coming on board again this year, GI Paint, Planet Eclipse, obviously, Deadly Winds, Ultra Silk, Bucked Up, Liquid, who else? Who am I forgetting? Oh, Charm City.
Mike Thompson.
Yeah, Mike Thompson.
Man Crew Pod Shop.
Yep. So we got a lot of love, a lot of support, and we're just here to finish it off and start fucking winning. And Paul's going to take us to that next level. I'm ready. So let's do it.
Go ahead, Paul.
I'd just like to say that I'm super stoked to be a part of this program, and it's a really big honor to be associated with you guys.
Crew.
Danny Dell.
Sideways.
You guys can't shut this dude up, huh?
Talk about Tony or me?
You can't shut this Smokey guy up, man.
Danny, you're sideways, homie.
Jeff.
You're sideways. There you go.
It happened before where some dudes see guys even upside down. It looked fine on my screen, but it's happened. So.
Yeah,
that's because he's sideways anyway. That's just the way Danny D is. He's a sideways.
Jeff just wanted to see more of this. I think. All it was.
I think so.
It's all good. No worries at all.
Jeff, man, you
Danny.
gotta let some other guys talk, man. You got to calm down, dude. You got to relax. Let these guys talk.
Yo, Danny, you watch Neverending Story yet?
I have not.
Dude's never seen Neverending Story.
I have not seen it.
He's young though, dude. Look at it. He's a kid. Of course.
Yeah, he is.
That shit.
He's a youngin.
So, I want to add something that you guys were talking about when you guys were comparing kind of the greatest when you were talking to Oliver to Todd Adamson. One thing that has to be remembered is that paintball was very early in its lifespan. I mean, the evolution of paintball is very, very young. Where if you look at basketball, baseball, golf,
you're right.
You're talking 100+ years where the game has kind of met its basic parameters, and that's it. It hasn't changed.
Yep.
So you can compare a Tiger and a Jack. You can compare a LeBron and a Michael Jordan. You can compare a Gretzky. Hockey may be a little bit different, but you can compare a Gretzky and an Ovechkin, and so on and so forth. And paintball, the game was completely different for essentially for 15 or 20, 25 years ago. It was completely different. So
yeah, I understand.
My 2 cents.
Yeah, but Todd's played on every format.
Yeah.
Todd played literally on every single format from the beginning to now. Todd's played every format.
I don't think he's disputing the Todd's ability. He's just saying
No,
overall.
I'm just saying Todd's played every format. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter if you were in this era or that era. Just like Ollie was just kind of like he was in this little section.
Like you're willing to give maybe Ollie the best airball player of all
Sure,
time.
yeah, you can give
but
Ollie
Todd
a era,
is.
but you know what? If you're talking, come on, if we're talking about the GOAT, if we talk about every single format from the most primitive to the most high tech, come on, man.
I can hear everybody with Paul. Not to interrupt. I can't hear Paul.
You can't hear Paul.
I can hear you, Jeff. I can't hear Paul at all.
Yep, he can hear everybody but Paul. So I think that might be some kind of Paul is just saying that it's the span. It's like Todd's career spans from the very, very beginning to now, still being current. Now Oliver could be current if he wanted to come back and play whatever format he wanted to come back.
Yeah, I'm not taking anything away from Ollie, but come on, man. Todd's still playing. Ollie's chilling.
Listen,
and I'm just saying,
if you look at Todd now,
let's not discount the time that Todd spent with Aftershock. It wasn't just all Todd's entire career from its inception to where he's at today. I mean, he's hanging out with those dudes on all A's.
Right.
How old is Todd? And I mean, all I'm saying is Todd's still pulling the trigger. Ollie's sitting down and.
Does that help, Danny?
Yeah, I hit the refresh button. I just wanted to make sure.
Sometimes that's
Ollie's sitting down Fiji, and it's just like Chris Lasoya. I mean, come on, Chris Lasoya. To me, I mean, he's. Everybody can talk about, he was great, but he was a flash in the pan compared to a lot of these guys that have started in the beginning of paintball and have still playing today. And
I would agree with.
I'm not taking anything away from him.
And the other night when he was on Brad's podcast, Todd said he's won in every continent except for South America, right?
I'm just saying, Todd Adamson is the true GOAT. Yeah. Now, everybody needs to recognize Todd Adamson's the GOAT of paintball. Yeah. And you know what? He might not have been the fastest. He might have pulled off a 4-pack. I'm telling you, if you're talking about longevity, if you're talking about number of wins, if you're talking about tactical gun skills, just the whole package from start to finish, the GOAT's Todd Adamson.
I think he's in better. I think he's in better shape now than he was when he was in his prime.
He very well may have been
physical shape for sure. And what I'm saying is like Danny was saying, you've got 100 years of NBA, this, that, and this. You've got hardline stats and all those sports to compare shit to. And in paintball, you're going off of like what everybody thinks of shit. You know what I mean? Which you could argue that all day long. You know, so
I wasn't.
Hey, it's a fair debate. It's a fair debate, but all I'm saying is let's not make false equivalents. Let's not take like a fucking 5-year season and try to compare it against a 40-year season or a 30-year season. That's a false equivalence. That's a false equivalence.
Well, Paul, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question out of ignorance. What has been Todd's relevancy on the field for the last 15, 20 years? I don't know.
My God. Well, I mean, Todd's relevance on the field is he's a presence. His gun style, his shooting, his ship shooting. How many people have tried to mimic the way Todd Adamson's played for years and years? And, how many guys model themselves after him? So it doesn't matter if he was in NXL. It doesn't matter if he was in NXL playing pro. There's a lot of guys that are like in their head. They're thinking Todd Adamson did this. Todd Adamson did that.
I would have to, Danny, answer you by saying I believe that it was like 07 or 08 when Todd stopped playing national X-ball level, but I'd have to ask him. You know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure I played 7-man against him in, I want to say 05 when all the NXL teams came to MPPL and played. They had to play semi-pro 7-man because they couldn't play pro 7-man yet. I'm pretty sure it was 05, and he was playing with Aftershock at the time, obviously. But my point was that over the last 15 years on the field as a competitor, I don't think there's been any relevance where, I'm not taking anything away from him. I think he's obviously one of the best from the original generation of paintball, but the same argument could kind of be made for Oliver, where he was dominant in 10-man, he was dominant in hyperball, he was dominant in 7-man, he was dominant in X-ball. He went from die to smart parts to WDP to Eclipse.
How many years has it been since Oliver's played though? Oliver hasn't played viably in the last 5 years for sure, and I think Yuku's a solid argument. He hasn't played solid for the last decade. Won events within the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's been 3 or 4 years. I'm not denying that. I'm saying
won events. Todd's won events.
Chris Jr. for sure has a point because it's relevant. I mean, I was playing against the Iron Kids in '99 myself when they were on Bob's, so Ollie could be argued to be playing at top ball, in 2000, 2001, even previous to Dynasty. But again, it's not 5.
So to shift the question, who's the best player in the NXL right now?
That's easy. That's super easy.
What? Who? What? Tell me, please. Lay it on me.
Malloy is hands down.
Malloy.
In the last 2 years, Malloy.
Okay, as long as everyone's on the same sheet of paper with that. Okay. That dude is uncanny. Like, Malloy, if there was anybody in the league that I would want on a squad, he would be a number 1 pick.
It's not. I mean, I don't want to say it's not even close because that would be false.
There's a lot of guys out there, but Malloy.
I think there's a really solid argument that you're correct.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to argue Malloy, but I'm going to tell you what. You know what? We just watched what the Ironmen did to the Russians.
Oh. And when it comes down to it, again, it's still a team sport. Even as much as NXL is a bunch of individual skill, it's still a team sport. And when it came down to this one,
that's why I got to bring Art into the conversation.
It's a marathon, my friend. It's a marathon.
If I'm talking about Malloy, continues on, my boy.
Jeff, where are you going?
I've been on this thing for fucking 3 hours and 11 minutes, dude.
So
I got no
family. It's okay, bro. Yeah, it's okay. Don't get in trouble. Spend time with the fam. We'll keep going.
I'm just trying to be a little bit respectful of where I'm at. I'm not at my place, so I'm trying to,
Oh, I got you.
All good, bro. All good. We'll do it again.
We'll do it again. Anytime, man. Anytime. I'll actually talk more when I don't have fucking 5 other people that talk more than I do, which is fucking hard to believe.
Exactly.
It's all good.
Keep it good, Smokey.
See you guys.
Later, brother.
Yeah, this is how our team chats go, Brad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. This is how it should be. I mean, this is kind of how like our team meetings go. Sometimes we're trying to do team meetings out in cyberspace here, so I get it.
And Dan's kind of new. He was with the old 7-man pro Smoke,
Yep.
But then we just brought him back for the last tournament and played his ass off. So he's back with one of the team.
Specimen.
Yeah.
The specimen. And do you play? And please forgive my ignorance, Danny. Do you play NXL semi-pro now?
Yeah. So I played pretty much for the better part of this decade, semi-pro, X-ball, and some pro 7-man with Avalanche, and then semi-pro 7-man all throughout most of the decade. So I took some time off. I want to say like 2015 till about 2017. Then the Arsenal team kind of reincarnated.
Yep.
And that was a kind of a quick flash in the pan type of thing, and they were gone after about 1 season, and then I kind of was just picked up by Revo's semi-pro team over the winter. It was actually funny. I knew some of the guys on the team. They were like, yeah, come on, you're out, and some of the guys were still kind of in question, and I actually hopped on a 7-man mech event with Chris Cole's team. It was like 35 degrees out, and all of the Revo semi-pro guys were there watching. And my very first game, I had a 5-pack. Actually shot Frank Cottle in the face, and
allegedly. If you shot Frank in the
allegedly.
face, it wouldn't be there. It wouldn't be. I know. I'm kidding, Frankie. You're kidding me.
I love Frank.
Hold it.
My last pro 7-man team was with Frank Cottle on Avalanche. I love Frank. Sometimes he gets a bad rap, but he's an awesome
Yep.
dude. He takes care of his team.
Frank's great. Frank's great.
And anyway, after that, I got a text later that night, and from my boys that wanted me on the team, and they were like, "Yo, you don't need to try out anymore. The rest of the guys saw you play today. You're good. Like, you're fine." And now, funny thing is just after that, we actually formed a second semi-pro team with Revo, and I actually captained that team, put that team together, and that's the team with JC Whittington, and that's probably the only name you would know. But yeah, I played one event last year, and now I'm starting to play. Was planning on playing the full season this year, obviously, with this stupid virus coming out. It's kind of put a halt to everything. So
yeah, there was a guy in Vegas who had I believe a Jason Andre jersey on. I don't know if he was with you guys or not. And I'm like, do you know whose jersey you have on? He's like, hell yeah, I know whose jersey I have on. So I didn't know if he was with you guys or just some random dude.
No, Jason Andre
was definitely not in Vegas, and I know him.
No, but just that dude, because I think it was even a Bad Company or a Kingman Spider jersey. So it was just like the thing where I could see it being around JC somewhere.
Yeah, no, that's what I would have known for sure. But no, I didn't see the jersey. But yeah, played with Ja for quite a few years, battled against him for quite a few years when he was with Bad Company and Arsenal and whatnot. But he was not in Vegas. I wish he was.
So you grew up in the area there, and you've been playing for how long?
My first national tournament was Atlantic City 2002 at I think it was the 4-H club, the horse grounds, whatever it was. That was actually the Demon Mouth, the video John was talking about earlier, was from that event. I remember I played that field. And then my first pro event was actually a year later on Krupin's, I guess, sister pro team at the time, Red's Factory. I played the New Jersey event, which Ronnie Butler put on in the mud in New Jersey in 2003, if you remember that event.
Yep.
And I played, actually, speaking of Oliver, we played Dynasty. We lost, I think it was 98-6. We shot 2 of them. I shot 2 of them, actually, and I got bunkered over top of a rollie by Oliver Lang right in my bandana 3 times in the head.
Yeah.
And that was my first time against Oliver.
Smelled like bananas the rest of the day.
Yes. Yeah, that was about the only upside to it.
What was that? All-American?
And I played
Gap, Great American.
Great American.
Yeah, I played the Miami event with the D2 team, and then I got picked up by Smoke actually the beginning of next year, 2004.
Yep.
Played Huntington Beach 7-man and what was it, Pomona 10-man.
Yep.
So yeah, but to answer your original question, yes, I grew up in Northeast. I'm from New Jersey originally.
Where are you at? Where are you at now, Dan?
Bad Company, kind of same area, and they used to actually come to my father's field, New Jersey. So that's kind of how I got linked up with them.
Where are you at now, Dan?
What's that?
Where are you at now?
I can't hear Paul again. Let me
know where you're at now.
Yeah,
he's in Ohio.
Yeah.
He wants to know
I'm just south of Philly in Pennsylvania. I'm about 40 minutes south of Philly.
Oh, wow. So he's close to the ICC. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me hit the refresh button. I'll be right back.
Yep.
So Dan's the one who had the mysterious hit on him when we were playing MVPS. That was Dan always on their 30-yard line.
Did you guys ever find paint on him from that hit?
No, never did. No, you can ask him, but I'm pretty sure we didn't. Dan, we were talking about the mysterious hit you had on you against the MVPS game when you got pulled away.
Hey, but in
the finals game,
in a worst case scenario, if a ref sees a ball hit you, regardless if it leaves paint or not, he can call you out on it, right?
He never even got hit. I was there watching.
Yeah,
I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying.
You're right. By the rules, how it used to be.
Scenario.
Yeah. Yeah.
The ref was digging at my pack with a shovel and a pitchfork and everything else he had on him for about 30 seconds before he actually pulled me.
Like
and
it sounds like there was a lot more questionable than just that call during that.
Well, when you made the move, he called you clean. Like he came in and checked you, and he called you clean.
I mean, I was laying in the dirt before that. Obviously, there was paint. Obviously, there was a lot of paint all over all of us. Anybody that played that side of the field or up in the front of the field, and I got in a position that was potentially a game breaker, and I was shooting cross field. Unfortunately, we're all kind of breaking paint at that point, but he comes in and pulls a penalty. It pulls me on a pack hit, and eventually calls a penalty and pulls our next closest front guy, which is pretty much game changer, backbreaker right there.
It's so tough to combat that. You know what, guys? You're just how do you prepare for that? How do you practice for that? There's nothing you can do to take away what happens from officiating.
But paintball is probably one of the worst, or one of the most, where the ref is the most crucial is in paintball more than any other sport I've ever played. And I played a few, and paintball, they can really change the game. It happened to us, and I never like to blame it on the refs. I mean, I'm a very on the edge type of player, so reffing has always been hit or miss with myself personally, but I never like to blame on that. But even Friday in Vegas, we had a completely different crew than we had Saturday, and you could tell by the performance, it was bad. And unfortunately, that's it's nature of the beast. It is what it is.
Yeah, there's the bottom line is this: the biggest factor in paintball in every single scenario always boils down to officiating. If you don't have a dominating win where you just go in and you dot everybody's goggles and you just rail every Muppet, I mean, if you leave it up to the refs, it's not going to always turn out in your favor. And I would say if there's one thing in paintball that there's a weak link, it's officiating. And we all know that because 100%. Everybody's going to play that,
Yeah, and I think
it comes back to the gray area. We talk about the gray area, and it's like there's holding in football. There's all kinds of penalties in football. We have charges, we have penalties in basketball, and that's kind of what it boils down to in paintball.
One of the big differences though with that though is you have those officials are actually making a fairly good living for the most part in the NFL, college, NBA, and all that. Whereas these refs are random people that are getting taught usually the day before, except for the main guys on the field. And, they're getting shot to hell all day in the hot sun. And it's always a difference.
Come on, John. You know what? Yeah. Back when I played in the era I played in, all those officials always had a bias too. So
because it was usually teams.
I was going to say it was usually a team.
I'm going to help you this event so that you'll help me next event because
absolutely
all the ref each event.
Yep.
So
we're still getting it now, aren't we? Weren't the refs in Florida friends with MVP? Whatever they're called.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah. Come on,
it still happens.
You're the Aftershock or you're the All A's, and we're reffing pro events, and I'm sponsored by Smart Parts or I'm sponsored by Shock Tech. You know what? And I got to run in and make a call. Yep. You know what? I mean, come on. It's time after time after time. The officiating it ends up being who wins or loses.
Yep.
It really does. And I've seen it happen so many times, it's ad nauseum. That's the worst part of paintball for me. It's the officiating. It boils down to that bias. You know what? I like these guys. I don't like these guys. These guys are my friends. They're not my friends. How often do you get unbiased officiating? Honestly.
Very rarely. I remember one game in Denver. We were playing Infamous. And it was when LaSoya was still on the squad and everything, and just random stuff. I mean, the game didn't last very long. We got a couple penalties. They were, shot people that didn't get pulled and walking off the field, and the head ref is over there like fist bumping LaSoya and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, well, just chalk that one up and walk off the field and get ready for the next one because you're not going to beat all of it.
Right. It's one of those things. It's one of those things that you just have a hard time stomaching when you see shit like that.
Yeah, it sucks, but it's just part of it.
Yeah,
it is part of it. But the key of it is certain teams, certain players, certain guys learn how to overcome it. They learn how to overcome every single obstacle. The bad officiating, the fact it's raining, the fact it's muddy, the fact it's dry dust out in the Vegas desert. They learn how to come over the elements, and they learn how to overcome the officiating, and
John
they
Kelly,
overcome the 10 guys on the other side of the field.
Yep. I don't know who Leo Heath is that just said that he has a bunch of video of me yelling in the pits at Huntington Beach, but I need to see this.
You said it's when Rock played with you guys. So
yeah. That would have been Danny. That would have been with you too, probably.
04, 05, right? Rockies with you guys in 05, right?
Yeah.
So, Brad, Dan was kind of like our missing link that we've been looking for.
Hey, real quick, guys, I got to go because I'm at home and I got to go to bed. So, peace
absolutely.
Out.
Later. But yeah, we brought Dan on, and then right before Dan came on, we brought Mark Ireland. He used to play with Rage also. So between them two guys, they were kind of like our missing links. And now we just need to just put it all together. Yeah. So we got like I said earlier, we got the talent, man. We just we don't practice. We don't practice at all, and that's what killed us. But
need to somehow overcome that and find a way to practice before the event somehow.
We're working on it. So hopefully that'll get there.
Yeah, well, you guys didn't practice at all before the Florida event, right?
Nope.
Tony? Yeah.
No.
There's no practice.
No. Yeah.
And let's do it this way. Did you get a chance to thank all of your sponsors, Tony? Because I know if anybody's got a list of your sponsors.
Krupin did a pretty good job, but even our sponsors when we first started, Richmond took really good care of us, Diablo, who else? Crossfire, can't forget Crossfire. They were one of our main sponsors from day one. They took care of us back in the day, and now this year. Last couple of years, we're back with JT and we're shooting GI paint, evil paint, which is really nasty. Yeah, John Rathburn really worked hard with us this year to get back into JT, and we did. So props off to them. Todd and Bigelow's from Raza Paintball. They're ones that basically designed our jerseys, which is, everybody. We sell a lot of these on our store, our textures and our jerseys, and it's just a unique design. That's really, matter of fact, I got the tattoo. I started the tattoo from our jerseys, so can't thank them enough. They're making our tech shirts now. JT's making our jerseys. The banners behind me. Deadly Wind stepped up big for us this year. Caesar, of course, with Ultra Silk.
Yep.
Virtue and Bunker King were our very first major sponsors when we started getting the team back together. They stepped up big time. We've been with them 2 years now. I don't see us going anywhere else, but with them, Aaron takes really good care of us. So
fantastic.
And then like Jonathan said, all the past and present Smoke players, can't thank them enough. I can't thank the calls enough.
Right.
Like I was saying earlier, it's a family. I do this because I love the game and I love the people I play with, and I do anything for them. Like I talked to in one of my other podcasts. Anthony's went through some tough times, and and I've helped him out, and that's awesome. If I can help him out for him to go play an event, that's what I'm going to do. I have my gear bag, and I have an extra gear bag for Anthony because if he needs stuff. Now he's getting in a better situation where he has his stuff, but that's what I ended up buying extra stuff just so other people can play. And if that's what it's going to take for them to come play with us,
and
that's
Paul,
what I'm going to do.
Paul loves his gun.
Yeah, Paul loves his gun.
I love my guns.
So
GSL.
Hey, there ain't nothing sweeter than what hold my gun.
Yeah, and Planet Eclipse. I can't. Jocko and Jacko there. When Smoke got back together, we called Jocko, and the first thing out of his mouth is, "What do you need?" And you can't get that from a lot of sponsors. What do you need?
Right.
So
Right.
We tested the GMAC out. We tested the EMAC out for them before they even came out, for sale. So
Yep.
anything they wanted, every time we asked, I order stuff. What else do you need? What do you need? And it's awesome. Planet Eclipse has been great. I don't see us shooting another gun besides Planet Eclipse probably for as long as Smoke. Even if another company came in and says, "Here's 10 free guns," I don't think we'll ever do it because it's just how much, And every time I talk to Jocko, he's like, "Oh, how's Milton Eileen doing?" That's
right.
Who other sponsor is going to do that?
Right.
Because they've had a long relationship. So, yeah, just it's because of them we do what we love to do, and
that's fantastic.
It's not like the old days where everything was free. We still have to pay for stuff, but like I said, it's for the love of the game, and that's what I love. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
How about you, Paul?
First off, I'd just like to thank the guys on the team for allowing me to come into their world and be a part of this. It's super cool. It's an established program of a bunch of straight up killers. So I'm just really tickled and excited to be a part of the squad. It's my paintball career's been in chapters, and it's been so long. When you start talking about 83, you're talking about a lot of years.
Right.
And so this is a new chapter for me. And I'm just excited to be a part of it. Whatever role I can play, whatever I can do to be part of the Smoke family, I'm looking forward to it a lot. I'm really stoked to be a part of it. And I'd like to shout out to Caesar. Caesar facilitated a lot of my paintball career. And we start talking about sponsors and gear and plane flights and hotel rooms. A lot of these younger guys don't know the luxuries that we lived in back then.
No, they don't. we had it made back in the day.
Yeah, and I want to talk about my boys from Level Up, Dave Pando, Matt Askren, Politti. I want to talk about all those guys in Ohio. And you know what? I'm just stoked to see those guys rise up and really perform in their first event. So shout out to Ohio Paintball. But I'm behind this whole Smoke thing, and I want to see the program progress. And I know this COVID thing is really, it's put a big hamper in our development and our practices and our ability to get together. But you know what, too? We're talking about a super group of guys with a super high skill set. And I know they can knock that rust off so fast. I mean, look at Danny sitting right there. We're talking about young buck studs, guys that are ready to just walk out.
The specimen, is that correct?
The specimen. Yeah, he is the specimen.
And look, we got old dudes. We got OGs like Tony. We got the Call brothers. We got Crouppen. I mean, I'm just
the old guys have to work their ass off in the gym to go play with the young guys, the specimen down there.
I'm like a kid in the candy store with these guys, and I just everything's right out in front of them, and it's all right in front of us, and it's all ours for the taking. And everybody ought to step the fuck back, and they better watch out because Smoke's coming, and we're not coming friendly. We're playing the pain game. And we're going to dot your I, and we're going to be up on the podium. So just recognize we're coming.
I don't think I could have said it much better myself. I think that you guys have now overtaken the record for the longest.
I told you, man, it's going to be
yes. And we can do, the thing is that we can do more because I know that there's more Smoke guys out there that do this. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for spending the last 4 or 5, because we were honestly talking, I think, for an hour and a half before this.
Yeah,
6:30. Well. So again, I want to thank you guys for coming. Danny, it was great to spend time and get to know the specimen. I'll be paying attention to you as well. But guys, I really
he's my front guy, so I gotta take care of him. Yeah.
Yep. I really appreciate the time and everything, and we will do this again absolutely soon. Okay.
Thanks, Brad.
Keep doing what you're doing,
Okay.
Brad.
Yep.
Hey guys, peace out. Smoke another.
Smoke
Yep.
another.
Smoke another.
boys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.